Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Buzzer here on Zingo TV, I-95, Facebook Live, and everywhere you hear the sound of my voice. I'm your host, Danny Thompson, checking with you tonight live here on also YouTube as well, too. And for the next 2 hours, myself and the man to the right of me, my lead blocker, Hall of Fame co-host, as well as the man who will always say he will defend Russell Wilson the day he dies, my main man, the student of the game, Mr. Kyle Nash. Good evening, my friends.
And I don't argue like a fan. I just argue with facts, and facts don't care about your feelings there, Goldie the Gopher. By the way, this is our topic for football-related things. One thing I do need to acquire is a red cross that I can put right here so I can account for the fact that the Niners are so banged up, there's no way they're making the playoffs.
I mean, listen, it feels like you got the Eagles out east and the 49ers out west when it comes to injuries.
Oh, but one significant difference, the NFC West doesn't suck. Moving on.
Listen, and the Eagles are still leading the East. But before we get into NFL talk, because that's what a lot of the things is, it is now time to talk. We'll leave the show with the Masters tonight. Yes, we'll get golf out the way. Yes, I know. Dustin Johnson won the Masters yesterday by holding 20 under par. And guess what? He did something Tiger Woods couldn't do and nobody else could do, had the lowest under par score in the history of the Masters. Great. Congratulations to Justin Johnson winning the Masters. And that's all the golf talk we're going to have on the show tonight. All right. Basically. It's going to go away just like the fact that no one really remembered the Masters were going on in the middle of November. Big shout out to our good friends at Valor, VALRUR.us. For all things marketing, media, social media, music, if you have gifts or anything like that, check out my main man, Jay, and his whole entire crew over there. And especially if you are in the music industry, trust me, they're one of the few major, non-major record label deals to actually have their music on every single major platform and hit 1 million downloads at the same time as artists.
Absolutely.
I'm just saying.
That's a great point, Danny. I mean, hell, they even made a fire alarm famous. You know what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen.
Beep. Because right now, that's what Houston Rockets fans are saying right now with a whole bunch of explicits right now. Breaking news into Beyond the Buzzer. Listen, the last 25 minutes. So James Harden has rejected a $50 million a year extension to stay with the Houston Rockets. On top of this goes into the fact that James Harden asked to be traded again today. My main man, Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, was the first one to break the story this morning that James Harden officially requested a trade. And then, of course, other sources verified it later on this afternoon. Big shout out to my man, Scoop B. Check out his podcast as well, too.
Hey, Danny, that was interesting. I thought the rocket that was launching over the weekend was an actual rocket, not James Harden. Thank you.
Yes. Well, ironically, at the same time, we look at those different aspects and items to see James Harden now be exactly. Now that's the second All-Star that has requested to be traded from the Rockets in less than 48 hours, in less than a week since we last were on the show. Right. Now James Harden, I'll keep tagging my boy Scoop in this, and also Sham Shireen over at The Athletic. James Harden's preferred destinations is the Philadelphia 76ers and now the Brooklyn Nets, who is now the front runner. Well, both teams have connections to James Harden. Well, the Sixers front office, Daryl Morey is the guy running the show over there, and of course, Morey was the guy to trade for James Harden to rescue him out of Oklahoma City. Speaking of Oklahoma City, if you go up the turnpike to Brooklyn, his former teammate Kevin Durant is up there, and also at the same time, his former Team USA teammate Kyrie Irving is also part of the Brooklyn Nets organization as well, too, and as starting point guard in the backcourt. Mike D'Antoni's on the assistant staff, so that makes everything else. Oh, Mike. Yes.
Hey, you may have missed it, dude, but in the past couple of weeks while you were out, we threw you some shouts and moving towards recovery. I've seen you on Facebook. You're looking good, dude. Just, hang in there. Rehab sucks, but you're going to stick through it, man. And thanks for checking in tonight. Go ahead, Danny.
Yeah, Mike, big shouts, man. We missed you trolling. We missed you trolling Kyle in the chat, but it's good to see that you're recovering from spinal fusion surgery. Speaking of comments, if you have,
we'll talk more about last night later.
Exactly, because you're going to need some fusion after this one. All right, big shout outs also. If you also are in the live in the chat, like you see Rodney and Mike, by all means, leave comments below. Leave what you want to talk about, and we'll jump in. We'll give our opinions on it because that's what we always do.
How else can you see troll love than when the comments come up here? Like Rodney supporting Mike DeSantis. That's the kind of love we like to see here amongst our friends in the Troll Nation here on Beyond the Buzzer.
Exactly, because when you're a Clemson fan, you have to troll when you have to burn off a weak loss. I mean, Clemson fans hadn't lost in 3 years, so they might as well go ahead and enjoy this one. All right. Speaking of things that can crash and burn disaster, if James Harden ends up as a member of the Brooklyn Nets, it's going to be one of two things. Number one, if you're playing NBA 2K online, you know everybody's going to play with the Nets anyway. All right. But this is a walking video game team going to life, and one of two things are going to happen. This is going to be a match made in heaven, or it's going to burn and go down like a plane crash. And I mean badly. What you have with James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving is basically the most unstoppable trio at the end of games in the league. I can't even think since when. They're more dangerous at the end of games than the big three in Miami with LeBron, Wade, and Bosh.
Yeah, they needed to get Ray Allen to be a huge air quotes closer team, right?
I mean, yeah. You mean, and that's another thing. But when you look at how dangerous this team is, to be completely honest with you. James Harden is a multi-time MVP and a 30-point a game scorer. I think he averaged 37 points a game last year. Kevin Durant's coming off an injury, but before the injury, let's be honest, Kevin Durant was 1B, LeBron James is 1A when it comes to the best players in the NBA 2 years ago before the Achilles injury. Right. And yes, Kyrie Irving has had more time on the injury list than anybody else, but let's be honest, when he is healthy, he's still a closer. He's still one of the best off-ball, best shooter point guards in the league, and dangerous with the ball in his hands and creating his own shot. You can't stop them down the stretch, but the problem is only one basketball allowed on the court at a time. Okay? James Harden, his main thing has all been about being able to play ISO basketball. Kevin Durant is dangerous in isolation. Kyrie Irving is dangerous in isolation. Somebody going to have to give the ball up. And when you have a combination of those three, new head coach Steve Nash, who's never coached in the NBA, with Mike D'Antoni as the lead assistant with Amari Stoudemire, and DeAndre Jordan has to play peacemaker, sign me up for League Pass for this for 72 games next season.
Tonight,
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If you've never watched the Nets telecast live, Ian Eagle, Richard Jefferson, and Sarah Kustok is the best local broadcast team in the NBA, and the only group that can come close to it. No offense, I listen to every single team in the league because I watch it on a nightly basis. Watch out for Sacramento with my main man Mark Jones from ESPN now going out there with Doug Christie. It's going to be a good one. But the three of those in Brooklyn, it is top notch. It is elite level. Sarah Kustok is actually one of the best in the game when it comes to knowing the knowledge. Don't even question the fact she's a woman. She can out announce 98% of people out there. She's a monster. Ian Eagle, of course, we know about it. Richard Jefferson tells these retardedly crazy stories throughout the game. It makes it interesting. All right.
Hey, what else is going on? What better way do you preside over the situation where the Brooklyn Nets become the Jersey Shore? I'm just saying. Listen,
Jersey Shore is not the word, but the real question is, if Houston, what kind of offers you're going to get? So you look at the Philadelphia, the Rocket, the Nets. Okay, adding James Harden's one thing. The Rockets are wanted to be able to stay competitive. Word on the street is it can be a combination of guys that include Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen, among others. Yes.
The burner account will be fired.
We're talking NBA Jam on fire. Kyle, his burner account is dunking from the 3-point line. All right. I mean, it's going to be something insane, but let's look at the actual offers that potentially can be asked for Kyle in the situation. If you look at realistic offers, the Nets can offer Karis LeVert, who was phenomenal in the bubble, Spencer Dinwiddie, who missed the bubble because of health concerns, Jarrett Allen's a young big man. If you can acquire all three of those pieces, the Rockets have a very good foundation to start with. Now, the question is, what about the Sixers? Daryl Morey is the guy that acquired him, has always found ways to acquire star players. Remember, he acquired Russell Westbrook last year. He's moved that roster around so many times to be on D'Antoni. Well, how would it work in Philadelphia? Well,
I was gonna literally ask that if you didn't bring it up, by the way.
Well, Kyle, go ahead and ask.
Hey, Danny, with Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid out there in Philly, How the hell are they going to make that work?
Well, the good news is that Ben Simmons is scared to shoot a jump shot. So if they don't trade Ben Simmons in the situation, it actually kind of works. Ben Simmons don't want to play isolation basketball because Ben Simmons don't want to shoot outside of 5 feet. Enter James Harden. It is what it is. You have Embiid and Simmons going to chase down rebounds. Now, the question is, what do the Sixers give back to match James Harden's salary? Well, if the Sixers don't want to trade Tobias Harris, who can help when it comes to acquiring salary, if you're Houston, is it worth it taking back Al Horford, Thibodeau, Josh Richardson, and a whole bunch of pieces? Sorry, Brooklyn sounds a lot better, a lot younger, and way more talented. I'll be honest with you, Kyle. If I'm the Houston Rockets and I really want to be able to contend and not tell myself I'm in the middle of a tank job,
Right.
a la Oklahoma City, at this point, Brooklyn's offer is better. If I can get those 3 guys and maybe something else out of it, maybe a future first-round draft pick, I'm taking it for James Harden.
Well, that's the point I make. You mentioned if they don't want to trade Ben Simmons. Bro, nice. Bro, I got to tell you, in order to make the pot sweet enough to compete with what Brooklyn's going to put on the table, I think Ben Simmons is a must. I don't think we can talk here as we are about the possible if they don't want to trade. I don't think that's going to happen for all practical purposes. If the Nets are coming out with a deal that good, there is no life without Ben Simmons in the trade. That's just my take.
If I'm the Rockets, I don't think I do anything without Ben Simmons at all in the trade, to be honest with you. It's like, okay, Al Horford's one thing, Al Horford's contract's another thing, but if I'm the Rockets, if I'm taking that as a base of a deal, Al Horford, no.
Here's
Al Horford.
Exactly.
Not Rondo.
Oh, no.
Not Rondo, because Ben Simmons isn't playoff Rondo. What the real point is, Al Horford's 35 years old. And if that is the centerpiece on a deal for a guy like James Harden, who is 31, but he's still in his prime, scoring 36 points a game with the Rockets, that's not worth a package. Nothing against Josh Richardson or Thibodeau or even the 25th overall pick or whatever odds and ends you throw in. If it's not Ben Simmons, or if I'm not getting Tobias Harris and Richardson, if I'm not gutting this thing in return, I'm not moving him to Philadelphia. At least in Brooklyn's case, Brooklyn has to get rid of stuff because you got to fit the basketball in there.
Mm-hmm. I mean, to be honest, like if I'm Houston, is it smart for me to go out and demand Simmons and Harris in the trade possibly? I don't know.
Well, if that's the real case and that's where we're going to in the situation, yeah, it sounds like it's going to be it could be something to be discussed. But if in Philadelphia, you can't give up everything either. You got to have pieces around Joel Embiid because in the Eastern Conference, let's be honest, Brooklyn is still loaded. Miami just made the NBA Finals last year. We don't know what Milwaukee's going to do. Mike said it's got to be Ben Simmons has to be the deal because it has to be. Al Horford is done.
I don't think Horford is all that anymore either.
Listen. This Mike DeSantis is coming in with some fire tonight because
we weren't even talking Celtics. Check that out.
Exactly, because speaking of the Boston Celtics, the Celtics have trade rumors going on as well too. In the last 48 hours, as I've learned around the league, the Celtics have been inquiring about trying to add something to the championship to try to solve this championship puzzle. They inquired about Drew Holiday, which would inquire them sending Kemba Walker back to New Orleans. They've also inquired about sending Gordon Hayward to Indiana for Miles Turner.
I don't know if I'm feeling that, yeah.
Watch like Danny. No, it's watch like your linebacking core in Carolina for the Panthers. Ronald Jones is still running as we speak right now, by the way. So, as I was saying, before a Panther linebacker refused to tackle. All right. As I was saying, when you look at this, I have an idea. The Boston Celtics has 3 number 1 picks in the first round on Wednesday night, and they don't want them. And here's the reason why. If you have first round picks and you already have a team full of loaded players and you're running against the luxury tax and that number, first round guaranteed picks aren't going to help you. Here's an idea. I'm not saying this is what I've heard around the league. Yeah, they are maxing out. If Boston gets Drew Holiday to go with Simmons, with Marcus Smart and Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, all you need is a center. I got an idea, Kyle. Ding. What about this idea? The Oklahoma City Thunder is in the middle of a fire sale right now. Why I say fire sale? Sell, sell, sell. The Thunder traded Dennis Schroeder to the LA Lakers for the 20th overall pick and some Starbucks. Because Danny Green can't hit a wide open shot. And I don't mean the Jolly Green Giant. It's Danny Green. Right. They basically trade him away for a 20th overall pick and a pack of Big Pens. All right?
And they didn't even get a pack of Skittles.
And Danny Green won't play 1 minute at Oklahoma City. He'll probably be redirected for the season starts. What's up, Manny? What did you miss? Well, one thing you did miss was Ronald Jones still running through the Panthers secondary. I think he's scoring again. What's up, Tim? No, that's my man, Tim Radley. Big shout out to Tim. I ain't seen Tim in forever. Good dude over there, by the way. But no, if you look at the situation where it comes to Oklahoma City, they're in a fire sale. They traded Chris Paul earlier today for Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, 2 backup point guards, and draft considerations. All right. It's not technically, it is kind of a tank mode, but here's the thing. Sam Presti.
The Panthers, my bad.
They can't tank correctly anyway. They won too many games. The Thunder, who are acquiring assets, Kyle, listen to this.
Yes.
We just talking about assets. The Thunder have 17 first-round picks, Kyle, between now and 2026. They have 17 first-round picks.
Damn.
And you have to think, if you look at the history of Sam Presti and draft picks, he hits on second round. He hits on late first-round picks. He drafted Darius Baisley, which is now in the rotation. Terrence Ferguson in the rotation. Lou Dort in the second round is now in their rotation. He drafted Steven Adams outside the top 10. Okay, he has worked well. Remember, the same man that drafted Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook in the top 5. But
Correct.
He also works well with lower picks. He's got 17 picks at his disposal, and he hasn't even moved Steven Adams yet. If you're Boston, ding, ding, ding. If you're Oklahoma City, would you take Boston's 14 and Boston's 26 for Steven Adams and Enes Kanter? You send Kanter and both those picks for Steven Adams?
I mean, if the answer is a center, yeah. I when you said OKC, I'm like, Steven Adams is going to be involved, and I like
Steven Adams has to be moved at this point. Schroeder is gone. Chris Paul is gone. Here's the thing. Steven Adams has an expiring contract, so it does help the Celtics in a way. Because if it doesn't work, he comes off the books in next offseason anyway.
100%.
Listen, everybody else is making arm space, and really, if you're the Boston Celtics, you don't need another scorer. You don't need one. You got plenty of scoring between Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart. You got enough scoring everywhere. The real question is, and don't forget Gordon Hayward if he's still there. If Steven Adams is in the center of that paint, protecting, bruising, someone's got to go against Joel Embiid in the playoffs.
Ooh,
all right?
I like it.
If you got Bam Adebayo was wearing out their centers in the Eastern Conference Finals. No offense to Daniel Tice, no offense to Time Lord Robert Williams, but those two guys combined wouldn't be a starting center in the Eastern Conference. I like Miles Turner, but if you can actually keep Gordon Hayward on roster and clear some of that space and send it Oklahoma City's way and give up draft picks you don't want anyway, why not?
I mean, hey, listen, the seal of approval we have is Mike DeSantis getting excited for it. I take that as a win.
Here's the question with Kemba Walker. Why would they trade Kemba Walker for Jrue Holiday? It's very simple. You don't need Jrue Holiday and Kemba Walker. Yeah, Manny understands. As a Sixers fan, you don't want to see Steven Adams anywhere near because remember, Joel Embiid. Yeah, it's the thing. As a Sixers fan, you don't want to see Joel. You don't want to see Steven Adams because guess what? Somebody will get physical with Joel Embiid. Mm-hmm. And Steven Adams, I'm sorry, he's from New Zealand, and he looks like he just stepped out of Game of Thrones. And he is big enough to be on Game of Thrones. Okay,
as a neutral party, I want to see that matchup. I really do.
Embiid doesn't want to see that. Doc Rivers doesn't want to see that. If you add and think about this, everybody is adding arms to the race. The only team that can't add anything is the Milwaukee Bucks because they're kind of stuck right now. Yeah. They're not getting Chris Paul. And are you willing to risk trying to trade everything for 1 year for Russell Westbrook?
Oh, God. No. Oh, God, no.
Speaking of Russell Westbrook, what's going on with Russell Westbrook? He was the first one to ask to be traded out of Houston, but here's the problem. If you thought Chris Paul's contract's bad, Russell Westbrook's even worse.
Worse, yeah.
Well, Kemba Walker wasn't healthy in the playoffs, Rodney. To your point, he wasn't healthy. He wasn't healthy at all. He had no explosion, couldn't get to the rim. Healthy Kemba changes the Miami series completely. Now, speaking of things that change completely, where's Russell Westbrook going? Well, the word is the Charlotte Hornets are the team that's in the lead for Russell Westbrook. Well, here's the reason why. Russell Westbrook is a Team Jordan athlete. Who owns the Charlotte Hornets? It makes perfect sense why the Hornets are in the lead for Westbrook, because the owner is Michael Jordan. The issue is the front office has issues with Russell Westbrook making $130 million over the next 3 years.
Of course. There's no way.
$130 million.
There's no way that he's going to be able to produce at that contract, stating the obvious here. Just say.
And the problem is Russell Westbrook is 32 years old, and the final year of his contract at 35 is $47.6 million the last year of the contract.
Damn, I should have had it queued up for that one too.
Hashtag albatross. Let's just say that. In the Rockets' case, trying to move Russell Westbrook, it's like getting pennies on the dollar. Word from my main man, Ian Begley, for SNY and also up in New York, has said that the real thing when it comes to Russell Westbrook and the New York Knicks, for example, is that the Knicks are not willing to give – they're willing to take on Westbrook at a discounted price. Discounted price, it hasn't been said, but AKA – I'm not giving you the 8th overall pick. I'm not trading you RJ Barrett. I'm not giving you Mitchell Robinson. I'm not giving you a piece of the garden. So what you can take is some of these bad contracts, Bobby Portis, Taj Gibson, Elfrid Payton. You can take some of these bad contracts, and you can take maybe one young player, and you can take it.
Take it.
It is what it is. Bad boy. Take that. That's what it is. All right. Listen, in Charlotte's case, if they trade for Russell Westbrook, it only makes sense if the Hornets end up with James Wiseman in the draft. Speaking of the NBA draft, we haven't even talked about the draft. The draft is Wednesday night. Check out my article on the three-point conversion, because guess what? I've given you everything you need to know about the NBA draft in 1,000 words, in less than 1,000 words. Including a mock draft and also what to look for as far as trades go. I threw a couple pieces of information in there at the same time. Okay, so as far as moving draft picks, Kyle, in 2017, I think it was 17, we had 14 trades on draft night. In a year where free agency starts on Friday, I said Friday, and training camp starts on December 1st. This is going to, and most of us who like Christmas shopping, Kyle, I'm not sure about you, but I do. It's called Black Friday. Everybody goes nuts for the $299 TV that's 84 inches that only has like 5 of them in the store, and everybody is basically piling on themselves to kill themselves.
Russell Wilson's looking at $135 million.
Yes. So this free agency is going to be basically Black Friday, because we can't have Black Friday in stores. And what does that mean? Guys are going to start signing contracts, because guess what? You're going to have to get to your new city quickly and very, very quickly. Fast and quick so you can be signed. Guys are more likely to pick up their options in the contract because free agency is no time. Guys pick up contracts, pick up options. Well, Otto Porter in Chicago, like he wasn't going to deny $28 million. DeMar DeRozan in San Antonio, $28 million. He wasn't not going to opt out of that. Andre Drummond opted in Cleveland, so he wasn't going to deny $30 million. Nicholas Batum in Charlotte, $27.1 million to stay away. He's going to opt into that one. Sorry, Hornets fans.
I like that.
Well, Nick Batum, I don't think played a game after the game in France last year. Kyle, they played a game in his home country last year in January. I don't think Batum saw the floor after that. He started playing in front of his home country, and Batum, I think, logged as much floor time as me and you did at the end of that part of the season.
Oh, boy.
Evan Fournier opted in Orlando because he wasn't going to turn down $17 million. Not in this economy. Sorry, Magic fans. He wasn't going to do it. Now, some guys have opted out of contracts. Jeremy Grant opted out and left $9 million on the table in Denver. He's expected to get more money other places. I don't know where.
We'll see.
Wesley Matthews opted out of $2.7 million with his deal in Milwaukee, a.k.a. Hey, Lakers.
Hey, Lakers.
Brooke Lopez opted out of $5 million with the Bucks. That's interesting because the Bucks don't have a center now. Giannis is checking his watch right now to see what's going on.
Oh,
guys will opt in. Yes, he's looking. Listen, the time clock's ticking in Milwaukee. So the draft is going to be interesting on Wednesday night, Kyle, because we've watched enough drafts. The NFL draft's always interesting because it's 7 rounds, so on and so forth. The NBA draft's only 2 rounds, so this thing is done in one night. All right, it's virtual. We all know why. Nobody's gonna be shaking Adam Silver's hand, and Adam Silver won't be in Brooklyn cheering on picks. And the Knicks won't be able to boo their first round pick. But what we could see on Wednesday night is, Kyle, for the first time that I can remember, Kyle, you have 3 teams in the top 6 that don't want their pick.
Yeah.
And there's no clear-cut number 1. The last time we had a draft like this with no clear-cut number 1, Anthony Bennett went first. Yeah, Anthony Bennett went first. And Kyle, Anthony Bennett scored as many points as probably you did in his NBA career. All right?
Rough. At least I can still beat Rodney in the 40. Anyway.
You can beat Rodney in the 10, the 20, the 30, the 40, and the 50. All right, so let's look at the draft. And I'm going to go over the top 10. I'm not going to go through the whole first round. Check out the article at 3pointconversion.com to check out my entire first round mock draft. The Minnesota Timberwolves will pick number 1. And yes, the Timberwolves, in this draft class, the 3 best players of this, Kyle, it's point guard LaMelo Ball, center James Wiseman, and Anthony Edwards. Here's Minnesota's problem. Minnesota has all-star center Karl-Anthony Towns. So James Wiseman, it doesn't make sense here. Their shooting guard, D'Angelo Russell, was in the All-Star game 2 years ago in Brooklyn. Here's the problem. He's a combo guard that needs the ball in his hands. LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards, So the Timberwolves don't know what they want to do with the pick. Well, with Phoenix acquiring Chris Paul, the idea of them landing Devin Booker ain't happening now, Captain. No chance. Well, what does that do? Do you take Ball, who's the most talented, who arguably has the biggest name and gives you star power and makes people want to watch television? Do you take Anthony Edwards to be the shooting guard that has a little bit of motor issues, but reminds some people of Dwayne Wade with his ability to get to the rim and also create his own shot, just with piss poor shot selection? Or do you take Wiseman and try to go full-fledged 1985 Houston Rockets Twin Towers? Then you got the Golden State Warriors at number 2, and they only got the 2nd overall pick because Klay Thompson missed the entire season. Steph Curry played 6 games, and Draymond Green basically took the whole season off.
They looked like the 49ers this season. I'm just saying.
No, but it's not even the 49ers. They look like the New York Jets the majority of the season. Okay.
Oh, hey, I meant with injuries. I'm not trying to be hateful now.
Well, listen. In a year that reminded me of the San Antonio Spurs back in 1996. You know what happened in 1996, Kyle?
I don't remember precisely, but I remember
David Robinson played 6 games due to an injury. Mm-hmm. They tanked, and they ended up drafting Tim Duncan.
I should have been able to remember that.
I guess when the Boston Celtics had, I think it was 3 picks in the lottery, they had like 60% odds to get the first overall pick with all their ping pong balls, and San Antonio still got it. So, yes, James Harden rejected $50 million. Yes, we don't know. That's
not.
Listen, you want to be out of place so bad when they hand you a $50 million check per season, and you're like, yeah, Kyle, that's almost $1 million per week.
The only other guy I know who rejected a $50 million check is Dave Chappelle. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah.
Yes, Bobby, come through again.
Yes, James Harden, Kyle, if we think about this, they play 82 games in the season. He turned down $50 million. That's over $500,000 a game. That's how bad you don't want to be there.
A flash in the pan, man. See,
the Warriors are picking 2nd.
Sorry.
Guess what? The Warriors are angry. People forgot about the Warriors. No one's talking about them. They were the defending champions, and guess what? Really didn't have a chance to defend their crown because of injuries. Now the Warriors, not only have the ability to develop all their young talent, Eric Bishal, Jordan Poole, and those guys that played last season. Now you get back angry Steph Curry, angry Klay Thompson, and a healed Draymond Green with Andrew Wiggins, who's ready to unload. And now you have the 2nd overall pick. The Warriors don't really want the pick, by the way. They've been trying to trade this pick since they had it. Since we had the draft lottery a long time ago, they've been trying to move this thing. Problem is, ain't no takers right now. Mm. Orlando has talked about the 2nd overall pick. The Knicks have talked about it. There have been a few teams inquiring about the 2nd overall pick. But Orlando is the only team, I think, and the ones that are interested, Kyle, that can potentially pull this off. If the Magic are willing to move Nikola Vucevic in this deal, the Magic could have the 2nd overall pick.
See, that's the thing, though. I don't know that you make them, and not to in normal NBA terminology. I think the movement of picks is a good thing. However, in COVID world, where you have a shortened time frame and you have had less opportunity to scout and get video on players than you have in the past, and they've had less time to actually develop than ever before in this time period as college players. I don't think draft picks necessarily hold the same value that they would. That's the only thing I would offer.
Well, and here's the reason why the Magic would pull his deal off. Mo Bamba hasn't really played. Mm-hmm. You spent the 6th overall pick on a guy that couldn't see the floor, not because he's not talented. He's had his issues and moments, but Nikola Vucevic is a borderline all-star.
I mean, he's made all-star games before, has he not?
He made the all-star game 2 years ago. It was a borderline. He could have made it last year. If he had made it last year, you wouldn't have been surprised. Mm-hmm. You have a 20-10 guy at center, and you drafted a center with the 6th overall pick 2 years ago. It's either it could be a doomsday scenario for the Magic. If the Magic trade Mo Bamba, let's just say in a Russell Westbrook trade, and Bamba goes down to Houston and averages 16, 10, and 2 blocks a game, it will remind Magic fans of Victor Oladipo after he figured things out after his Oklahoma City span. Why did we trade him in the first place? Then, if you trade Vucevic and Bamba doesn't work out, now you're mad because you let your all-star go that you paid that actually wanted to be here go away for nothing.
That's not doomsday. That's Kobayashi Maru, baby.
The Magic and guess what? If the Warriors got Nikola Vucevic,
wow.
Word around the league is that it'd be 15 in Nikola Vucevic for 2 and Andrew Wiggins. The Magic aren't going to win too many. Now, the Magic did sign first-round pick last year, Chime Okuke, to his contract finally, and they didn't sign because he missed all last season and didn't want to take up the roster space with a guy that wasn't going to play all year. Makes perfect sense. Right. People bang on Jeff Weltman for that, but that was actually a good move.
Correct.
All right. Now, at the 3rd pick, the Charlotte Hornets have talked about moving down. They've talked about moving up. I don't think they're going to give up what Minnesota is asking for to move up. I don't think they have the right pieces to move up with Golden State. It is what it is. Charlotte has been people have inquired about moving down for Charlotte, which includes Detroit and New York, who want LaMelo Ball. Well, Charlotte better not move off this damn pick because the first time and last time they picked in the top 3 for a while. All right, the NBA ping pong balls gave Charlotte a top 3 pick finally. Don't blow this one. All right, at 4 you have the Chicago Bulls, brand new GM, brand new head coach, and Billy Donovan, and I think a roster that could make the playoffs. You can't miss on this pick. Just realize the only sad part about this part is they need a small forward, and the only small forwards in this draft, besides a guy that you don't know much about in Denny Avdia, unless your general manager is from Europe, is the fact that Isaac Okoro, who's going behind that. Speaking of teams that need small forward, the Cleveland Cavaliers are picking at 5. The Cavaliers have more power forwards and centers than Noah's Ark had animals. Okay.
More than the Magic, which is in itself an accomplishment.
Kyle, here's the thing. The Cleveland Cavaliers have more power forwards and bigs than Noah Ark had when it comes to twos. Okay, you got 2 centers, 2 power forwards, and you got Tristan Thompson. All right, they have enough of everything. They have enough of everything, an undersized backcourt, nobody playing small forward. Ding, ding, ding. You're looking at 6 of the Atlanta Hawks. The Hawks don't really want the pick because here's the reason why. They have so many young players on this team right now. Another young was not going to fit the timeline. But trading those assets, like what Phoenix did, to acquire a Drew Holiday, for example, not Russell Westbrook, Drew Holiday, maybe even putting the offer sheet to Brandon Ingram, will get the Hawks to the playoffs and also keeps the timeline in place. All right, Detroit at 7 is a mess. New York at 8 is an even bigger mess. Washington at 9. Listen, Washington gets back John Wall, and we don't know what John Wall looks like, and they still can't block shots. All right. And number 10, which was the Phoenix Suns. Listen, the Suns were able to acquire Chris Paul and still keep this pick. You got Chris Paul, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, whoever you want to draft at center, and whoever you can bring back Aaron Baines, who was hitting threes last year, and you still have the 10th overall pick. Danger. All right. So I won't tell you who my top 10 is, but I will say this. There's going to be always a name that goes up the draft board and one name that goes down. The name that goes down, I think, this year in the draft class, sorry to say this, is Dayton National Player of the Year, Dayton Ford Obi Toppin. A guy that we all saw in college this year before the season ended was dunking on everybody and going through people. Reminded people of Amari Stoudemire with a little mix of Al Horford with his jump shot because it's flat-footed. The problem is Obi Toppin is 23 years old, and I know why you're saying that's an issue. When you're 23 years old, 22, 23 years old, and you're coming in as a rookie, that's actually against your advantage. You don't somehow catch your ceiling like everybody else does. I think Toppin's the one to slide. Now, Kyle, here's a name I want you to remember in this draft class. Florida State power forward Patrick Williams. Okay? Not because he's from Charlotte. He's not because he's from Charlotte. But at 6'8", 225 pounds, is getting into his body. He's learning the game. He's a power forward. He's nasty. He has a high motor. And the kid can play. Don't look at his numbers at Florida State and say, well, where was his numbers at all year? They have a lottery pick in Devin Vassell, who was on that same team as well, too. And Florida State has always been known for spreading the ball around and also getting their numbers. Nobody puts up big numbers. When Jonathan Isaac was there, and Isaac was picked 6 by the Magic, Isaac's numbers wasn't huge at Florida State. I think he averaged like 11 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks a game, but he played a role. At Florida State, Patrick Williams was a defensive player. He rebounded, and he was just nasty in general. And the kid can play, Kyle. The kid can play. I expect him to go as high as Detroit at number 7. He would fit. I mean, he'll replace Blake Griffin. Like I said, he's from there. I'm not saying because he's from Charlotte. Now, if you want to take the Charlotte bias away, I'll give you one other name in the draft class to look out for. His name is R.J. Hampton. He was the other high school kid that went to Australia last year. LaMelo Ball got all the attention. R.J. Hampton went to Australia last year and played for New Zealand Breakers. He's 6'5", Kyle, can handle the ball, play multiple positions, can guard 1, 2, and 3 on the court. All right? The numbers are one thing, but the upside, Kyle, is something else.
I like it when you get Bobby excited about the NBA, bro.
Miles Powell, second round pick. All right. But R.J. Hampton, Kyle, the thing with Hampton is that his range in the draft, Kyle, can go as high as numbers. I would even say number 8 to New York. And it can go all the way down, Kyle, down to 22 in 21, which is Philadelphia. He can fall anywhere in that range. New Zealand, hardened footwork. Actually, you know what? He has a lot of D'Angelo Russell in his game. He's very, very versatile. He can shoot the basketball from well. Don't let the numbers fool you. All right. He's an 18-year-old kid that went overseas. All right. You know how hard that is to be a kid that he's also reclassified, Kyle. He should have been a high school senior, not a college freshman, a high school senior. Because guess what? He reclassified and skipped a year. So you have a kid at 17, 18 years old going to a foreign country and actually playing in this, I think the second best league in the world that's not considered in Europe, and played well. So those two guys I want you to mention, Kyle, when we talk about college. All right. Speaking of college, Kyle, we're going to shift the realm. We're going to go from shooting jump shots to the gridiron. Yes. Why we didn't talk much about college football this week? Because guess what? 4 of the 5 teams in the top 5 had the week off.
So many games.
Yes. COVID won. COVID COVID destroyed the SEC this week, and the only top 5 team available was Notre Dame.
Hey, and I'm glad you brought up Notre Dame because I was thinking about it. Though they did struggle early against BC, and I was prepared to make all the jokes in the world at Bobby's expense. They came back, looked really good. They did better than a lot of teams did coming back from a big game the previous week. But here's the thing: I think where Notre Dame may have put themselves in a bad situation is actually joining the conference this year, because at this point, I feel like if they were playing as independents still, they wouldn't be playing in the conference championship, and then the committee would be compelled to squeeze them in that 4th round spot. Now, if a Cincinnati or a BYU goes completely undefeated and they do inevitably lose to Trevor Lawrence and company, they might be able to be edged out. And I don't see a scenario where that is less than favorable to happen at this point. Granted, there's a lot of ifs there, but.
Well, let's see.
I'm not hating. It's the committee, Bobby.
So let's say, because COVID ran wild in the SEC last week. Alabama, LSU was canceled due to COVID. I think A&M and Tennessee was canceled due to COVID. Georgia, Missouri was canceled due to COVID. All right. Auburn, Mississippi State was canceled due to COVID. All right. Coastal Carolina, not in the SEC. We missed Coastal Carolina this week, playing against Detroit, postponed. And Ohio State and Maryland was canceled because of what, Kyle?
That would be the Rona. And that's not even bringing up Memphis and Navy, but that's a whole other thing.
So, Kyle, what was left on the schedule? We talked about Notre Dame's 45-31 win over BC. Slow start for Notre Dame, picked it up at halftime, blew them away. And, Notre Dame, Ian Book, solid game, 20-27, 3 touchdown passes. But, Kyle,
you're missing one main aspect of this game, though.
The fact they won?
No, that was the Pete Jerkovic revenge game. They had a lot to play for, Boston.
So, Bobby, for those who don't know who Pete Jerkovic Bobby is,
he's the guy.
Bobby, give us our Notre Dame player of the week.
He should be the quarterback right now, but Ian Book stayed for another season, so he left.
Well,
so much for that revenge.
Yeah, I mean, I was scared, to be honest with you. I was scared for this game. I think it happened last week. Me and Kyle discussed this. It happened before when Notre Dame had a big win and then went to BC and lost. So to me, that was a step up.
Well,
yeah, we did talk about the whole Hail Mary thing and all that, but
we'll get to Hail Marys in a few minutes. Don't worry, I ain't forget. But what I will say is, I was about as worried about Notre Dame losing as Bobby playing the gif of the actual cat dressed in a lion suit. I wasn't worried about this one. But Notre Dame,
thank you.
but Notre Dame better be worried about Saturday, because here's the thing: North Carolina comes on Saturday. All right. Yes, North Carolina plays no defense, but they play a lot of offense. 59 points last week against Wake Forest. Sam Howell set the school record and threw for 550 yards in the air with 6 touchdowns and ran one on the ground. Notre Dame potentially can get into a shootout with North Carolina. North Carolina has weapons everywhere. Listen, don't sleep on the Tar Heels, and the Tar Heels can still have a shot at getting to Charlotte if they take care of business against Notre Dame on Saturday.
Stop it. Listen, Homer, okay?
I'm not being a homer here. I'm just saying, Kyle, did North Carolina score 59 points on Saturday?
Against Wake Forest. Stop it.
Did Sam Howell throw for 550 yards?
Stop it, Homer. Stop it. If they're so great, how come their offense is still inferior to UCF? I'm just saying.
I think they outscore UCF, sir.
What?
I think North Carolina's offense will outscore UCF.
In what scenario?
If they played on Saturday.
Huh?
Yes. If they played on Saturday, Carolina would beat UCF because Carolina outscores them.
I can't with you. I can't.
Kyle, think about this. Sam Howell in his first 2 years, Kyle, is only, I think, 5 touchdowns behind Trevor Lawrence for the all-time record in ACC first 2 years as freshman, sophomore year, throwing touchdown passes. Lawrence had 66, Howell's at 61 and counting.
Bruh, UCF is in the top 10, or actually in the top 5 in yards, offensive yards, playing fewer games than the competition. Your boy Sam Howell is 3rd behind Dylan Gabriel, playing more games than UCF. Stop it.
Kyle, as I was saying before I started really interrupted, another quarterback that's lighting up defenses across the country is Kyle Trask. The guy, Kyle,
good.
Kyle Trask, from one college to another one, I think he's the favorite for the Heisman, right? He's the front runner for the Heisman.
Trask, you think so?
Kyle, listen, another huge game from Kyle Trask, 6 touchdown passes in the total revenge game. Felipe Franks was going to Arkansas. This is his revenge game because the guy that replaced him was the guy that threw 6 touchdowns on Saturday. Kyle Trask, I think he has 30 touchdown passes this year. They start to stop comparing them. Rodney, listen, listen. I want you to go out there and go try to tackle Ronald Jones because Shaq Thompson and Tahir Whitehead and Trey Boston still couldn't do it because they're still chasing after him after that carry yesterday.
You ain't right, man.
Kyle, look at this. Kyle Trask in the last 5 games, because Florida on the year, Kyle, is 5-1. Actually, you know what? Let's look at Kyle Trask's numbers the entire season.
Okay.
If you look at Kyle Trask, he has thrown 4 more touchdowns, Kyle, in every game this season.
No, I would listen. If you're asking me to battle you on Kyle Trask as a candidate for the Heisman, no, I'm not. You're at your board. Of course he's competitive. I'm not going to knock that at all. I think you should be in the conversation. I didn't think of it till you just said it, but I honestly should have, and I'll leave it at that. Well,
Kyle, this is Kyle Trask's second game this season with 6 touchdown passes.
Right.
6 touchdowns.
Absolutely.
You know, I think he's a leader in the clubhouse right now, because the only reason why I say he's a leader in the clubhouse is because Trevor Lawrence missed games. Mm-hmm. He missed the Notre Dame game, and that's the big showcase game. Mm-hmm. Mac Jones of Alabama has been really good, even though, you know, he still has NFL wide receivers, you know, that just come out of the stands and catch passes every week. Okay. Mac Jones has been good. You can't really say much about Justin Fields, because guess what? They've only played 3 games.
Correct.
The Heisman ballot situation, or the running for the Heisman, is kind of weird because everybody's not coming close on games.
Right.
All right. And the further we get into November and December, with the way they're talking about COVID, we could have more cancellation of games.
Correct. I'll say, here's where I'm at, because you got there's a lot of whole stuff going on. I would put if Ohio State and company crush Indiana, because they're getting a lot of play and there's people paying a lot of attention to the fact that Indiana's done what it has. If they stomp them and Fields has a major game in doing it, I think he's in the conversation and starts putting his hand back up on the ladder. I don't think he's going to win. I'm with you, but I think a big performance in Indiana could start to bolster his stock. That's what I'll give.
I mean, I can agree with that. I mean, even Ian Book should get some kind of look for the Heisman down in Notre Dame, because they're undefeated. He's a quarterback for Notre Dame. He hasn't made many mistakes. Now, mistakes. Let's talk about Cincinnati being ranked number 7 could be a mistake to the entire top 4. Cincinnati ran through ECU on Saturday. I mean, they ran through them like X-Lax. I mean, it was just terrible to watch. Now, on the other hand, we look at UCF, Cincinnati's next opponent, Colin. Who does Cincinnati have next?
That would be UCF here in Orlando at 3:30 on ESPN.
This is a game that Cincinnati needs. Yep. Yes. Even though UCF is not record-wise, isn't where they're supposed to be, that everybody expected when the season started. At 4-2, everybody expect UCF to be undefeated. Let's just be honest. The way UCF's played the last couple of years, the way the schedule broke, they should have been undefeated.
I saw them losing a game or 2, but I'm not everybody.
Before Cincinnati, Kyle?
I thought Cincinnati was one of the 2, yes.
But do you think they were supposed to lose before they got to Cincinnati?
No, that's what I'm saying. No, I did not have them 2 losses at this point. You're absolutely correct.
Well, Kyle, because you covered the UCF Knights for the 3-point conversion, Kyle, what should fans expect? Because this is Cincinnati's biggest test of the season.
Yeah, and that in itself, I think, explains why there's not as much love for them in a lot of the. I mean, they're 7 in the polls, sure, but nicely done. They're 7 in the polls, but I'm hearing a lot more hype for, let's say, BYU, and talking about the Heisman race. People are trying to talk about Zach Wilson. I think Cincinnati's biggest problem is the schedule, and the problem is the American not getting enough credit. They are killing their own credibility by being the reason teams aren't ranked. They beat them, right? I say all that to say this. You say UCF is Cincinnati's toughest challenge on the schedule. I don't. Now, Mike DeSantis put a question up that will UCF fans lose their mind? No, they won't, because they already did after the Memphis game, and they're really, I think, a large amount of people are in that dumb and number. So you're telling me there's a chance, because if UCF wins this game, there is a path to them to still get to the conference championship for a revenge game in Tulsa against the Golden Hurricane. That being said, I think the game in December against Tulsa is going to be tougher for Cincinnati, because they match up in similar fashion, all except for one place. They don't have the same kind of quarterback at Tulsa that they do with Desmond Ridder in Cincinnati. But they play nasty up front on both sides of the ball. And I think that's the problem UCF has is the interior of their offensive line was getting worked by Temple and giving Dylan Gabriel fits. That's the reason why he had his first game under 400 yards. Or excuse me, not first game under 400 yards, but rather his first game under 300 yards this season. That, and he only played 3 quarters anyway. But I say all that to say this. I think Tulsa will provide a bigger challenge for what it is that Cincinnati is. Now, if Cincinnati makes mistakes and they give up chunk plays to UCF does have that puncher's chance. But Cincinnati's a tough squad, man. They are tough as nails.
Speaking of, we mentioned the words "happy trails" earlier. Before we continue about college football, happy trails to Will Muschamp. His time in South Carolina is over. South Carolina got destroyed once again, and guess what? Will Muschamp's out the door. Speaking of coaches that can be following him out the door, it's Jim Harbaugh in Michigan. All right.
Yeah, let me take the lead on this one, Danny, because I'll tell you this.
Hold on. Pick and roll. Go ahead. Go on the screen.
For the time that Harbaugh has been at Michigan, I have very vehemently called out the stupid for fans of the Wolverines calling for his firing. Understand that Jim Harbaugh's performance at Michigan is what's the saying? He made chicken salad out of chicken.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, however, if he had actually beaten Ohio State in one of those years, I believe that people would give him a pass for COVID. In light of the fact that he has not beaten Ohio State in any of those years, and he's lost to Michigan State this year, a team that fell in dominant fashion to Indiana, that dude is out like Ryan Seacrest, okay? That thing is – he's going to get axed, and I don't know if it's the right move, but I think that's what's going to happen.
Well, because if you watch the game on Saturday night, it was pretty much a bloodbath. Wisconsin, after having almost, Kyle, a month off due to COVID, went in and they played like they had just played last week. Going into the big house at a night game on national television and literally karate chopping Michigan 49-11 on their home field in embarrassing fashion. Mm-hmm. Michigan played like a high school team. Like they just couldn't get it together. Guys weren't running routes. I think the other quarterback completed a pass for almost the first 2 quarters of the game. Right. They looked out of sync. But you know what, Kyle? This is 2020. And I'm going to go on record and say this. Ohio State is going to blow Indiana away on Saturday, okay?
See, I saw you say that on Facebook, and while I get
something tells me
you're using the force and you got a gut feeling, and I'm not I know where you're coming from, but man, I can't sign off. I can't.
Listen, I don't think you have sounds, but Kyle, the baby Yoda in me feels like Jim Harbaugh can't get fired, okay? Something tells me Harbaugh can't get fired because no NFL team wants to. No NFL team wants to have the task of saying we said no to Jim Harbaugh this year. Not with these coaching opportunities, okay?
and listen, while a lot of people have talked about, well, they could get Jim Harbaugh from Michigan. Okay, I remove the referendum on that. You may now actually talk about Jim Harbaugh being recruited. Because I believe he's out like a fat kid in dodgeball in Michigan.
I feel like Jim Harbaugh is going to get the win against Michigan because they're ready to walk him out the door. I think he beats Ohio State this year.
Hey, riddle me this. How pathetic would it be if beating Ohio State for the first time in a year where they've looked so bad is what saves his job? How garbage is that? You average 9.5 wins in the second toughest conference in the damn nation. You make it to the Citrus Bowl where the only reason you lost was because you were playing Alabama and you were dominating the game for the first 3 quarters, arguably. Come on, man.
Kyle, you forget Alabama, but the thing was you were dominating, but the problem was you couldn't stop Alabama from making big plays.
Well, and I mean, at the end of the day, the Alabama realized they were more physical athletes literally everywhere. Like, we got Jerry effing Judy. Throw the ball to him, for the love of Pete. Hell, Drew Lock for the Broncos figured it out finally. Come on.
if Henry Ruggs doesn't get hurt in that game, Kyle, Alabama might have scored 40 points in that game. They had no answer for Ruggs before he got hurt. And then Jerry Jeudy was over the top, making sure he should have been drafted by the 49ers.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is, in the New York Jets, all I'm saying is, because it's the year of 2020 and things, hey, Precious.
I love it. You got the body wave. Woo!
So when you look at how it all turns out, something tells me that Jim Harbaugh is going to keep his job because he's going to beat Ohio State.
Can that happen before we continue to speculate on that?
What, Baby Yoda and Jim Harbaugh eating Ohio State's national championship hopes away?
No. I mean, that has to happen first. Yeah, exactly. Then we'll talk about Harbaugh's job. How about that?
Listen, you can laugh all you want to, Kyle, but trust me. No, I'm just saying, people can laugh about Michigan all they want to, but if Michigan beats Ohio State, and here's the thing, if Ohio State loses to Michigan, there's no way Ohio State plays for the national championship.
Oh, hell
there's no way.
Oh, God,
if Jim Harbaugh,
a Michigan fan, because that way Notre Dame has a track. I'm just saying.
Listen, if Michigan wins that game, first off, Michigan fans want him gone anyway.
Hey,
if he beats Ohio State, he's loved. They're going to throw a parade because Ohio State can't play for the national championship. If Michigan can't win, Ohio State can't win either. Very simple.
Baby Yoda, it's a great thing. It's not going to happen. I have spoken. All right.
Listen. Baby Yoda told me the other day that.
See the show. That means you stop talking.
Baby Yoda told me the other day that Michigan was going to beat Ohio State. That's all I'm saying. All right, Kyle. Let's talk about Week 12 real quick before we get to the NFL. Week 12 is Week 12 in college football. Well, what we won't have is Charlotte versus Marshall. A&M and Mississippi will not play, and Georgia Tech and Miami have been postponed.
How was Texas A&M ranked so high? I'm sorry. Anyway, I don't get it.
All right, Kyle. The game of the week, of course, as we all know, is Indiana Ohio State.
Right. 2
teams in the top 10. Statement game for Ohio State. Statement game for Justin Fields. Hey, if Indiana wins this game, they're gonna run the field, and Bobby Knight's gonna be on there as well too. You can have Bobby Knight, Victor Oladipo. You can find Steve Alford. There's Calbert Chaney. There's no way Indiana wins this game against Ohio State, Kyle. No way.
I'm calling it now. If they do, there's no way they get past Wyoming 2 weeks later.
Who, Indiana?
Wisconsin. Sorry, wrong W.
I'm about to say Wyoming playing. Yeah.
Son of a.
Other games in the Big Ten. There's another top 20 matchup. Wisconsin, as you just mentioned, going to Northwestern to take on. Listen, Northwestern somehow. Listen, they're a team that you might want to. Don't sleep on them. Wisconsin really hasn't been tested only because of the fact that Michigan's bad. COVID took out a whole month, and the only other game Wisconsin had was Illinois, who ain't very good either. So this is a test. It's on the road.
I mean, all we know for a fact is that Wisconsin would probably beat the Golden Gophers of Minnesota, right, Danny?
Damn it, you gonna leave Goldie out of this, all right? All right. So leave damn it Goldie out of this because we're not asking you to talk about Goldie, okay? We're not. Goldie has nothing to do with this. But who has something to do with it is listen.
Bobby got you again.
Damn you, Bobby. All right. Damn it, Bobby. Listen, Kyle. You're talking about games that are statement games. Coastal Carolina has a statement game on Saturday. All right. This is the last chance Coastal Carolina has to do, as I put, to try to put themselves on the national stand. They play Appalachian State on Saturday. This is the major game they have on the schedule. Troy was taken off the schedule due to COVID last week. Appalachian State is the hardest test they had. App State was ranked earlier this season. If Coastal Carolina is going to make any type of impression on the pollsters when it comes to, hey, don't forget about us in the BYU Cincinnati chase for the at-large spot, this is the game they're going to have to blow away. They're going to have to blow away Appalachian State. They have no choice. If they don't, guess what? Happy trails as you play in the Poland Wheat Eater Bowl. Okay, as you go into the Cereal Bowl, because Coastal Carolina will be a top 10 team playing, I don't know, Kyle, I don't know, Central Piedmont Community College in the ESPN Laptop Bowl.
Well, here's what you're also leaving out, my good friend. This is not the toughest game on their schedule, in my humble opinion, because in the final week of the season, they faced off against the Flames of Liberty. So in that instance, they're 2 ranked. They were the ones that took out a sorry Virginia Tech team, proving the inferiority of the ACC. That needs a mercenary team to make themselves look good. That's right, Danny. I just gave your team props. Deal with it. So yeah, with that in mind, I can't agree with the take that that's the most important game on the Coastal Carolina schedule at this time.
But Liberty this week, they have to survive going to NC State on Saturday.
Sure.
If they can get past if they can get past NC State, of course they're going to destroy UMass. UMass is the worst team in college football. I think that's hands down.
Yes.
Yes, UMass couldn't even beat teams in the FCS.
Correct.
If they can get past NC State, then you're looking at, Kyle, like you mentioned before, 2 teams that will probably be playing on December 5th with everything on the line, undefeated seasons for both. And I would say, Kyle, at this point, I think Liberty, and you're talking about Liberty probably in the top 15 probably, because they'll be climbing the rankings because teams in front of them will be losing.
Top 20 to account for silliness in the AP.
Well, they're 21 right now. They're 21 right now, Kyle. So if, for example, if Northwestern loses this week, Liberty jumps in front of them in the poll. That puts them in the top 20.
Sure of that. I'm not. The committee and the well, not just the CFP committee, but the AP and the coaches are notorious for keeping worthy undefeated teams below teams with a loss or 2. Speaking as somebody who covered UCF in 2017, that ish happened. Just saying.
Well, that issue does happen, but like I said, I think to me, if Liberty can get past NC State, which gives Liberty some credibility on who they've beaten, because Lord knows this schedule, strength of schedule, they beat Syracuse, but Syracuse is trash. And they beat Virginia Tech, who's been playing like trash. All right, so if they beat a third ACC team this year, a third one,
they're so bad, Danny. I'm sorry.
Calls during basketball season. Kyle, calls during basketball season.
Correct.
So if Liberty wins this game, then yeah, Kyle, they're going to be undefeated. But I think to me, App State's going to be a little bit tougher. I think App State's a little bit more physical than Liberty is, and they play better defense than Liberty. So I think this game on Saturday is the Coastal Carolina coming out party. All right. Other games in college football over the weekend that's coming up. Really, college football. Clemson takes on Florida State.
No, I thought you meant there was going to be actual competition.
Florida State and Vanderbilt. BYU versus UNA. I don't know who the hell UNA is. Oh, I'm sorry. The North Alabama Lions.
Roar, baby.
Bobby, please, can I please get the cat chip one more time, please?
That could be the also be Northern Arizona.
No, it's North Alabama, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yes, the North Alabama Lions. That's all I have to say about that. All right. You have the USC fresh off of surviving on the road once again as they take on in the late game against Utah. Good game. SEC game, Georgia, Mississippi State. Oklahoma State normally is a good game, but both teams have multiple losses. And Kyle, if Oklahoma State loses, that means there'll be no team in the in the Big 12 in the top 15.
Yeah, because Tulane is serving them as a punishment because the rankings do not respect Tulane. The only loss they have, a team ranked 11th ranked 11th at the time in the Oklahoma State Cowboys.
Alabama takes on Kentucky. Auburn and Tennessee. Yeah. And Kansas State takes on Iowa State. Exactly. Speaking of things, Kyle, that we want to yawn about. Well, we're not yawning about this. Well, you know what? Let's transition. Major League Baseball's Hall of Fame announcement, and their candidates have been named today.
Yawning about that.
Yeah, Mariano Rivera is the headliner of the class. He should get in the Hall of Fame. It's pretty self-explanatory.
I know that.
I mean, a non-baseball fan knows that Mariano Rivera should be first ballot. It should be almost unanimous.
I would. If it's not, I would be surprised and also demand an explanation.
I mean, it's the same way Derek Jeter, I think, fell one vote short of being unanimous when he was in the Hall of Fame for some.
Who vote for Derek effing Jeter? I'm sorry.
I mean, somebody's probably dated one of his ex-girlfriends. I don't know.
A Boston journalist.
I think it was a Boston journalist. All right. Speaking of journalists, Kyle, speaking of moving on, and guess what? We're going to close out the big part of the show with the National Football League. Shoot, doo, doo, doo. Well, we'll start with the game that's going on right now, live going on here as we're on Beyond the Buzzer. You got the Chicago Bears up 13-10 on the Minnesota Vikings. Kyle, before we talk, let's talk about this game real quick. What's more surprising to you? The fact that Kirk Cousins is 0-9 on Monday Night Football as a starter, or the fact that Nick Foles, after inserting himself after coming back against the Falcons, is 2-4 as a starting quarterback, and the Bears are torpedoing down the standings in the NFC?
I expected both these teams to do somewhat poorly, but I did not expect the Vikings to be quite this bad. The fact the Bears had a winning record and went 3-0 like they did was a fluke, and I want to make sure that I'm saying that even though I write for somebody who is a huge Bears fan. I'm really less surprised by the Bears being 2-4 with a new starter, because they would have been 2-4 or less with the one they had.
Crazy. Mitchell Trubisky's 2-0 as a starter.
That's 2020 in a nutshell. That's right. Thank you, Babu.
So in the game, the Bears have not scored an offensive touchdown because their only touchdown came from a Cordell Patterson 104-yard kickoff return.
I will tell you that is the least surprising of the statements that you have made in this segment. Carry on.
Touchdown pass from Kirk Cousins to Adam Thielen.
Surprising about that.
All right, 13-10, 5-12 to go in the third quarter. All right, Kyle, let's talk NFL, and let's start, you know what? Listen, I have given the Arizona Cardinals a lot of shit on this show for most of the season, all right? I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said, I'm sorry, excuse my language for saying this, but I've given them a lot of crap on this show all year. But I will say this. Kyle, watching the final 45 seconds of that Buffalo and Arizona game yesterday was actually the last 2 minutes, because I'm going to give Josh Allen when he actually had the ball driving down the field.
You better not leave that by just saying Josh Allen. I will throw things at you.
No, I said Josh Allen leading the Bills down the field because he is the quarterback. He led the team down the field. That pass to Stephon Diggs in the end zone. Not only was out
MVP of the offense. Yes, thank you.
Listen, Stephon Diggs, it was funny. We watched the game. I think it was Kevin Harlan who was doing the play-by-play, said Stephon Diggs is the best wide receiver in the NFL. This is with 30 seconds. Kyle, this is with 35 seconds left in the game, and Diggs had caught the touchdown.
Time out.
Okay, Kyle.
I never said that. I said
Kyle. I said Kevin Harlan. I didn't say you. I said.
You did. But for those listening at home, I wish to politically distance myself from that comment. Never said it. Continue.
Listen, I'm just saying this is how great this whole thing was. So Josh Allen leads the Bills down the field. A game that was up and down. It was exciting. It was an exciting football game.
I can't help you. Exactly.
It was an exciting football game down the stretch. Josh Allen making huge throws. He hits Stephon Diggs in the back of the end zone. I'm talking about Kyle, a perfect ball in the end zone. Great effort by Diggs. The problem was you left 30 seconds on the – normally you're saying 30 seconds. Danny, 30 seconds, and you're supposed to be able to do something here. All right? Kyler Murray, in 30 seconds, got the Cardinals down the field. Now, Kyle, I watched Kyler Murray. We might even talk about the final play of the game. The play that was the most interesting one was right about 20 seconds left in the game. Murray scrambles and rolled out, almost got sacked, hits Larry Fitzgerald on a huge catch to get them in position. I think it was a makeup because, remember, Murray threw an interception in the fourth quarter when Larry Fitzgerald dropped the ball. And it bounced up. Larry Fitzgerald dropped a pass. That's 2020, Kyle, when Larry Fitzgerald drops passes.
Drops a bleep pass, exactly.
Kyle, so I watched the NFL Network this morning, Kyle, and they talked about the play, and Cliff Kingsbury called the play Cowboy, the play that was Kyler Murray used to win the game. And the play was actually, it's called Cowboy because it was an Aaron Rodgers play in the playoffs against the Dallas Cowboys. It wasn't a touchdown. The original play was for Kyler Murray to hit Andy Isabella on a 20-yard crossing route with everybody going down the field. That way, they had enough time to get one more shot at the end zone.
That would have actually beat the Cowboys, yes.
But He gave Kyler Murray an option. If you have the ability to throw to DeAndre Hopkins, damn it, throw the ball to DeAndre Hopkins. Well, Murray ran for his life, Kyle. Go. Take a point. Go ahead, take a point.
I want the record to show in the post-game press conference, he pointed out deeply regretting not including D-Hop in the previous game in the final moment.
So, DeAndre Hopkins, Kyle, before the play, had about 80 yards receiving. Now, in a play that's reminiscent of NFL 2K1 on the Dreamcast, Kyler Murray ran for his life, scrambled, and literally just threw the ball in the air. DeAndre Hopkins held down the jump button and out-jumped 3 Buffalo Bills and took the ball from them in the end zone of the Hail Mary. The Cardinals won a wild game, which put them in first place in the NFC West.
Right.
Kyler Murray has got 10 touchdowns, Kyle, on the ground. First quarterback since Cam Newton in 2015 to do it. He's also, Kyle, one more game with a touchdown interception, a touchdown and a rushing touchdown, passing and rushing, from having the most in a single season. And we're only 9 games into the season. He has 8 games like that already. Murray finished the game 22 of 32, 245 yards, the 1 rushing touchdown, and also the 1 pass touchdown with interception, Kyle. But your Arizona Cardinals, I'm going to say your Arizona Cardinals, because you picked them to start of the season, not to win the division, but to make the playoffs, is now leading the NFC West. Yeah. Kyle, listen, talk about this game, and what are your thoughts on Kyler Murray?
Listen, what are your thoughts? Special K is not just a nickname, okay? I'm not here to tell you that he's my MVP. I can't, simply because the dude has more weapons than a Russian nuclear arsenal, okay? What I'm trying to say is he is the right piece to complete the puzzle, okay? There may be guys that do things different or are more traditional, but Cliff Kingsbury makes for this to be, I hate the overused platitude of the perfect storm, but ladies and gentlemen, the Arizona Cardinals offense is it. You have the guy who is the current best receiver in the league, proving it on the very last play. The dude in his own press conference said that it was his best catch he's made in his career, which, see, that's the thing. It was so great. We should be talking about Stephon Diggs and Larry Fitzgerald dropping a pass that gave Stephon Diggs a chance to steal the game with a connection from Josh Allen. Now we're talking about the greatest receiver in the NFL today making the best catch of his life from a guy who might be next in line right behind Russell to get the torch from Russell Carrington Wilson. And on the other side of the field in support is a former best receiver in the league in Larry Fitzgerald. Danny Thompson, it is a tragedy. The defense isn't just a little bit better, because if they were, we're talking a Super Bowl caliber team. And even I wasn't brave enough to declare that.
Well, you know what, though? I'm going to tell you this. Arizona actually has a really good defense. That touchdown that Stephon Diggs, where he beat Patrick Peterson, that was all Stephon Diggs. That was Diggs putting on the turbo and basically stopping Patrick Peterson. Now, Peterson dropped the interception. Arizona's defense isn't as bad as we made out to be, but give Arizona.
It needs to be a little bit better to be Super Bowl caliber. That's where I'm at.
You know what, though? What a difference a week makes. Because a week ago, Arizona couldn't convert on 4th down because Kenyon Drake was out of the game due to injury with his ankle. Kenyon Drake comes back this week, 16 carries, 100 yards. And when you add a running game to what you already have at Kyler Murray, it makes things even more dangerous.
See, that's the thing, though. Kenyon Drake, the stuff you don't see in the stats, he had a fumble, but he made up for it by throwing a crucial pass block, something you didn't see that he did in Miami, to enable another Special K episode to move the chain. And it's stuff like that you get from Kenyon Drake that doesn't get enough attention.
It's so funny because, Kyle, we see young quarterbacks get drafted every year in the NFL, especially in the first round, with thoughts of doing what Kyler Murray's doing. The thing with young quarterbacks, and I've said this for a long time on the show, Kyle, is, and I think you kind of agree, is with a young quarterback, you got to be able to put pieces around him.
That's true of any quarterback.
But especially a young rookie quarterback, you got to give him support.
Right.
The best thing Arizona could have done was go get DeAndre Hopkins. Yeah. They went and got Kenyon Drake last year for peanuts on the dollar from Miami, for whatever they got him for.
Yeah.
And then they
Skittles. In fairness,
okay, they got some Chico sticks out of it, some cowtails. But what I'm saying is, Kyle, they went out and got him, and then in the offseason they went and they mortgaged whatever they had to go get DeAndre Hopkins. When you add, I don't know if he's a former best receiver in the league. I don't know. DeAndre Hopkins and Devontae Adams are like 1 and 2 in the NFL right now when it comes to the best receivers in football. Julio Jones right there.
The Cardinals were in the Super Bowl. Larry Fitzgerald was the best receiver in the league. There's no question.
But you got to think about Larry Fitzgerald's a third option because Christian Kirk is on the other side of the wing. Andy Isabella's across the middle.
Excuse me. Yeah, I don't necessarily mean to imply Fitzgerald's the number 2. Kirk is a fantastic guy too, and like me, like I just did, too much time is spent forgetting he's there.
And the thing is, they given Kyler Murray so many weapons to work with, and that's why he's successful. If you look at Sam Darnold of the New York Jets, they haven't given him anything to work with. So how is he ever going to develop be a good quarterback? How are you ever going to know what kind of quarterback you have if you don't give him talented weapons to go with?
I mean, why do you think Rodney's on here on a weekly basis talking about free Deshaun? I get it.
Yeah, I mean, well, so that's because that's dumb. Deshaun's not he's not a young quarterback. He had DeAndre Hopkins
to use weapons too. I mean, protection's important, and let's give that Cardinals O-line some love too. They're protecting him reasonably well.
Yeah, I mean, but it also helps when you can actually get out the pocket and move too, though. So you can have if you have a quarterback who can move, your offense line just has to be able to be decent. You don't need elite level.
As somebody with a little bit of experience, a mobile quarterback can actually put you in a situation where it's more difficult sometimes because if you don't know what he's doing.
Yeah, but if you get beat as an offensive lineman and your quarterback can evade, life is so much easier.
That's a hell of an insurance policy. You got a point, but let's not just say it's completely easier.
No, but I can tell you what's completely easier is what Tampa Bay did to Carolina on Sunday.
Hell.
Listen, Kyle, Teddy Bridgewater came out in the first quarter, Kyle, and he threw 2. They were matching touchdown for touchdown with the New England Patriots. I mean, I'm sorry, the New England Patriots, Tom Brady, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Okay, listen. Teddy Bridgewater found Colin Thompson on the first touchdown in the first quarter, and then Teddy Bridgewater realized DJ Moore still plays football and found him for a touchdown in the first quarter, 14-7. The problem was Carolina in the third quarter just went Carolina, and the other thing is Tampa woke up on defense and in offense. After the week before, after getting massacred on national TV at home, you wonder what the Buccaneers were going to do in replacement of losing badly to New Orleans. Well,
that's right.
Well, Kyle, after the first quarter, Kyle, it was 39-9.
Hey, Danny, you're familiar with the Carolina area there. Do they have any nuclear power plants? Because the Panthers had a meltdown.
Kyle, that was no damn meltdown, all right? It was a meltdown because there's no way that Ronald Jones should have scored that touchdown the way he evaded. He evaded Carolina linebackers like it was the plague.
And actually, I'll tell you this. Give credit to I want a little love here to the Tampa Bay O-line that's dramatically improved from last year because that 98-yard run was
wouldn't have happened last year.
Hole that he just launched right through.
And he outran every Panther that on the Kyle, the thing is when you get these 98-yard runs, and it's happened the last couple of years. Derrick Henry, I think he still has like 65 of them, it seems like, because every time is all you see. You have to have a combination of the right play, good offensive line play, and the right opening. You're right. The big boys up front for Tampa gave them the hole, but Lord knows the Panther linebackers in the secondary couldn't even figure. And if you listen to the play and watch it over again, Shaq Thompson called out what was happening before the play happened,
and the O-line still crushed them.
Tahir Whitehead forgot where the ball was, and Trey Boston wasn't going to tackle Ronald Jones. Ronald Jones was surprised that he probably got that far. 98 yards later, the game had changed because Carolina was 17 on halftime. They got a field goal. Carolina got him down to the 2-yard line, and Ronald Jones took off running. At that point, Kyle, it was game over.
I mean, 200 yards rushing in a game in the NFL, that's a rare sight.
Here, Kyle, here's the thing. Tampa had 544 yards in offense and 30 first downs. Anytime Tampa does, if you get over 200 yards on the ground with over 300 yards in the air from Brady, you're not going to beat them.
College numbers.
You're not going to beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when their offense is clicking like this. And you're also not going to beat Tampa Bay if you have 187 yards in offense.
Yeah.
Yes. Tahir Whitehead, the Temple product, went to go play for his former coach at Temple at Matt Rule, and we saw what happened there. So we're not going to speak too much more about this game, but Tom Brady did throw 3 more touchdown passes. But here's the thing. Antonio Brown got integrated in the offense. 3 Bucs receivers caught 6 or more passes. Godwin caught 6, Evans caught 6, Brown caught 7. Yeah. All right. Brady's starting to figure this out. Gronk, he caught a touchdown pass and would have had another huge catch if he didn't drop one. They're starting to figure things out.
Slow back on the Gronk is back speech. I want to see.
No, I didn't say he was back. I say he made an impact.
I don't mean you, Danny Thompson. I mean for the audience at home. Thank you for distinguishing yourself from the comment. I want to see him do it in one more game because I feel like that those were coaching mistakes. You put a corner on Gronk because you underestimated him, and he made you pay for it.
And you got to think, Brady also found Cameron Brate. So, Kyle, if you look at this, Kyle, Brady had 6 guys, Kyle, with 3 or more targets in the game. He spread the ball around. Now, Mike Evans had 11, Antonio Brown 8. Chris Godwin caught all 6 of his targets. He caught all 6 of them. Give Tampa a lot of credit on defense. Robbie Anderson had been going over the top on corners back all season. 4 catches, 21 yards. Give the Buccaneers credit on defense for that effort. Speaking of teams and getting defensive efforts, Kyle, the Cleveland Browns and the Houston Texans played a defensive football game.
If that's what you want to call it. It may have been a defensive football game, but I still found it offensive that it was on television.
Here's the thing. This game was only interesting unless you have Nick Chubb on your fantasy football team. For those who have Nick Chubb in their yes. But the problem was people have Nick Chubb in their fantasy team was ready to maul him yesterday. End of the game, Kyle. 1 minute to go. 3rd and 3. Nick Chubb goes off, Kyle, running down the sideline, wasn't a single Texan player within 25 yards of him. On 3rd and 3, he runs out of bounds.
Avoiding not in the end zone on purpose because,
that run out of bounds costed most fantasy football owners at least 7 points in that play.
At least.
Because if your league counts long touchdown runs, that would have been one. That 6 points for a touchdown, that would have been one.
It's probably double digits because, I mean, that's at least – you got at least 4 points worth of yards. I didn't see the distance of the run, but –
Well, you still get the yards, though. You still get the yards for the carry. But the problem was you don't get the 6 points for the touchdown.
Oh, yeah, well, I'm sorry. I only play in real fantasy leagues, not the ones that reduce touchdown points. I still never understood.
Well, touchdowns are 6.
It should be.
Yeah.
At any rate, I don't play fantasy ball anymore. I'm just saying.
Well, for those who also play fantasy football in this game, and you have Baker Mayfield, Deshaun Watson.
That's your own fault for picking him.
Well, the game was delayed because of weather, and the game was pretty much delayed because of terrible football, Kyle. Listen, Kyle, here's the crazy part. Neither team had a turnover. You would think in a 10-7 game, they'd be turnovers everywhere. Neither team had a damn turnover.
Suck, Danny. So there weren't any turnovers. No, they just suck.
Kyle, neither one had a damn turnover.
Listen, I keep telling you, I like to think I'm a good analyst. I like to look at the data. I saw a little bit of the film, not all of it for this game. I got nothing for you, Hoss.
Kyle, you also think there was only 8 punts in this game. No turnovers and only 8 punts. Speaking of games that were weather-induced, the Green Bay Packers held on against the Jacksonville Jaguars 24-20 in a game that had 50-mile-an-hour gust at Lambeau Field at one point. Kyle, there was a play in the game where Jake Luton had DJ Baby Chark wide open, Kyle. I mean, Kyle, he has defended beat by 4 yards until the ball basically was caught in the air by the wind and said, nope, you're not going anywhere. It fell short. Aaron Rodgers, 24-34, 325 yards. A complete bomb to Montez Valdes-Scantling for 78 yards. But the key play of the game and the game-winning play, we talk about wide receivers in the NFL. Aaron Rodgers found Davante Adams, who used his Super Mario mushroom jump to jump over defenders to get in the end zone.
Hey, what other receiver was it going to be for the Packers, Chief?
Well, listen, Vontaze Scalding, 4 catches, 149 yards, and a touchdown in the game. Jake Luton, 18-35 for 169. James Robinson had another 100-yard game for the Jacksonville Jaguars in the backfield, but the Jaguars still suck. Speaking of teams that still suck, the NFC East had a game on Sunday between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah. Hey, listen.
The sad part is the New York Giants beat the Philadelphia Eagles 27-17, but the Eagles are still first place in the worst division of football.
Hey, listen, at the end of the day, first of all, big ups to Daniel Jones, who actually stayed standing to get the touchdown this time. No, that didn't happen, but it's still funny. And listen, at some point, injuries get up to you, and the Giants play better defense than you think, Danny Thompson.
Kyle, here's the thing. In a game, Kyle, that had no turnovers from either team, so it wasn't a turnover fest, Philadelphia fans potentially, it seemed like Philadelphia Eagle fans are turning to ask for Doug Peterson's job at this point because the Eagles can't seem to take control of this division.
Okay, yeah, you do that. Maybe Michigan will hire him as Ja'Marr replacement.
Carson Wentz was 21-37 for 208 yards in the game. They couldn't really do much offensively. And the sad part was the Eagles they just can't stay healthy. It's just weird. Dallas Goedert's back in the lineup, but he was not even targeted very much yesterday. I don't know. The Eagles are a weird team this year. Speaking of things that are weird and stuff that goes on with the NFC East, the Washington whatchamacallits had a chance to win a football game. But the whatchamacallits left enough time on the field to let the Detroit – Washington's already had bad enough year, okay? Dwayne Haskins gets benched for no reason, okay, because he has no weapons. He got benched. Kyle Allen gets hurt in the second series after taking over the next game. The 49ers trot out Alex Smith in his first comeback game against the Rams. Allen gets hurt again. Haskins is still not seeing the field, and Alex Smith throws 55 times in a game. Kyle, can you make this make sense to me, please?
Damn near wins it. You want me to make sense for you? You want it to make sense? Matt Patricia, his first win in the past 9. Excuse me. I think it was the first win in the past 9 games where he's had no, I'm sorry, this is the 10th game. Going into this game, he was 0 for 9 when he had a 10-point lead in the fourth quarter. And now he almost was 0 for 10. If it were no, this was the 10th game.
Okay.
And then he would have been 0 for 10 if it were for Matt Prater bashing a 59-yard goal.
Because guess what? Matt Stafford got them down the field in 34 yards in 16 seconds because Washington forgot how to play defense.
I mean,
here's the thing. The Lions were up 24-3 in the third quarter.
Yeah. They did leave the receiver relatively open, but, I mean, give Stafford some credit. He can sling it.
Matthew Stafford, speaking of slinging, 24, 33, 276, 3 touchdowns. Washington's 2-7, Kyle, but they're still in the division race.
Man, stop it. I mean,
Kyle, they're one game behind. They're one game behind in the win column.
Stop it. I mean, you're not wrong. It hurts. I'm not even a Redskins fan. I just don't like that 2-7, but race. Anyways.
Kyle, speaking of things that hurt, listen.
49ers' entire rosters hurt. That's what hurt.
Yes, that's what hurts. The 49ers went to New Orleans and actually was leading over the New Orleans Saints at one point in the game. I was wondering what the hell is going on with the Saints. They woke up. Alvin Kamara had 3 touchdowns in the game, but there's a serious problem in New Orleans right now. Drew Brees left the game. I think it was a horrible call on a roughing the passer call. I think it was really unexcusable.
Something that has a trend of happening to the 49ers and the Saints, which is kind of why I laugh when Saints fans bitch about bad calls. The past few victories, that the Saints have had over the 49ers have involved a poor call on a sack of Drew Brees, and this one was no different. And to be honest, that call turned the game. I'm not sitting here to tell you that the Niners would have won. No, I'm not that ridiculous. But it would have been even closer. And hey, maybe Jameis would have made a mistake. I don't know. But
you just mentioned the fact that it's a season-changing situation because Drew Brees is now out, a punctured lung and broken ribs. I don't think he sees the field against Atlanta on Sunday, and he might be out for an extended period of time. Which leaves Jameis Winston in charge of New Orleans as they take on the Falcons on Sunday. Good news for the Falcons is that they pretty much have a very good history against Jameis Winston, and they play him 2 of the next 3 weeks if Brees is out for an extended period of time. New Orleans is not going to get easier because, like I said, with Jameis Winston, no offense, but Winston is known for making turnovers, and I don't mean Apple. If you look at New Orleans stretch, let's say Brees is out until probably the 1st of December. Yes, they are 7-2, but hey, the Bears were also at one point running away with the NFC because they were playing good football. Kyle, look at the next couple of weeks. Atlanta, at Denver, and at Atlanta again. And then you have the Eagles. All right. With Drew Brees in the lineup, I can easily say the Saints can win 3, if not all 4 games in that situation. Now, if Jameis Winston is playing over the next month, the Saints might be lucky to win 2 of those games.
I'm not going to go that far. I'm pretty sure that I'm still confident about winning 3 of those. And this is no offense to your Atlanta Falcons. I think if they change to the strategy to controlling the game in the next 3 through Alvin Kamara, that they have a chance to basically they keep the other offense off the field, and Kamara, he's a back that can dominate people. And Latavius Murray is the secondary back, ain't bad either.
Listen, the game I see winnable situations being Denver because Denver is Denver.
Also accurate. I have no confidence in Drew Lock. But again, I think that should be the strategy for all 3 of those games, not just against your Falcons.
Because here's the thing, because after that you get New Kansas City come into the building.
Honestly, you know what? I'd leave Drew out for that game too, because that one would likely be a loss anyway.
But the problem is, if it's come to that point, let's just say if you lose 3 out of 4, for example, the bleeding is going to be bad. You're going to have to bring Brees back for that Kansas City game. You lose 3 out of 4, Kyle. You're now at the point you're 8-5. And you got
wait, 3 out of 4. That's not going to happen.
Well, you have to think in that stretch. We don't know what kind of Philadelphia team you're going to get because Philadelphia can somehow find some health. Okay,
I get that.
Before that, Atlanta and New Orleans always find some kind of way to split
because it's a divisional game. I respect that.
So, if they can flip the Broncos game, or if somehow they don't melt down twice against Atlanta, because I think if Atlanta wins any game, it's going to be Sunday.
Okay.
I think it's the first game. They'll go to New Orleans. And the reason being is that if Winston has his first start, Atlanta will jumpstart him. I think if he gets comfortable against the Broncos, it becomes a little bit more dangerous situation in December in the Dome in Atlanta because Winston will have some kind of confidence.
If Winston gets any bit comfortable, it could be dangerous because the truth is, when he's not turning the ball over, he did do pretty solid with a very good supporting cast in Tampa. Now, do I think New Orleans has that? No. But
30 interceptions, Kyle.
What's that?
30 interceptions in Tampa, Kyle.
I'll get there. Yeah, that's mostly because of a bad O-line and a guy with bad instincts who was asked to throw the ball too much. Like I said, you run the offense through Alvin Kamara, you keep my dude under – I shouldn't say my dude. Like, I'm not really a Winston fan, but I'm going to say at or around 27 throws, he's got a shot. And get Taysom Hill out of here. That is the biggest. Listen, if you start him, he's going to get exposed like Janet Jackson in a halftime show. Get off.
I can't wait. All right. We spoke about the Denver Broncos. The Broncos went to Las Vegas. I guess they played the slot machine and they didn't win nothing because the Raiders went and punched them in the mouth 37-12. The real crazy part about this game was not the fact that Josh Jacobs had another 2 touchdowns, 100 yards, but the backup kid Booker had a huge game off as the backup back. Denver's in trouble. Drew Lock is Drew Lock, and guess what? They're quarterback hunting in the draft, and that's coming from somebody who believed in Drew Lock when the season started.
I tried to warn you.
Listen, the man listens to Young Jeezy. What more do you want from me?
That I can see how that would have corralled you off course, but
Well, I know one team wasn't off course. The Pittsburgh Steelers are 9-0. Listen, we did lead off with the Pittsburgh Steelers in the beginning of the segment because they played the Cincinnati damn Bengals, okay? We can't really lead off with that. They beat the Bengals.
And hey, listen, credit to Bobby Steelers. There's a lot of people that gripe about, the Steelers are the worst undefeated team I've ever seen. Bleeping how? What are you talking about?
Listen, it doesn't matter if they're the worst undefeated team. Guess what? They're undefeated. That's the same way of saying, Kyle, it's comparing saying, you know what? You know the worst person, the worst graduate of medical school is called, Kyle? You know what the worst graduate is called of medical school?
Damn straight.
Doctor. You can be the worst undefeated team possible, but guess what? You're undefeated. Ben Roethlisberger.
They have three good receivers. Bobby, I'm sure, can catch me up with the name of the third one. But Chase Claypool, Juju Smith-Schuster,
Deontay Johnson.
Say it one more time for the audience at home.
Deontay Johnson.
I would have had it right. Damn it. I was so sure that was wrong. I thought, wait, that's an NBA player. It's not. Johnson's excellent. And by the way, Eric Ebron, I can make a strong case as having the best year of his career in support. Connor running the ball is great, and Big Ben is doing things I did not think were possible. I may have picked the Steelers to be I hate you. Excuse me. I may have picked the Steelers playoffs, but I did not see this. And by the way, that defense is excellent up front. And don't forget about Minkah Fitzpatrick. How can people hate on the Steelers team? I don't understand.
It's not hating on the Steelers, it's hating on the fan base. The Steelers on Sunday had 4 sacks. Of course, man, you're not impressed because you're a Raiders guy. But what is impressive is the fact that, listen, my defensive player of the year, the 3-point conversion, like I said, we talked about a couple weeks ago, TJ Watt, 4 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 4 hits on Joe Burrow yesterday. He was everywhere yesterday.
And by the way, Raiders fans who want to talk about not impressed, come back when you do something. Like, I'm not even remotely impressed with you. Okay, so you beat the Saints on a Monday night. You want a cookie?
Well, you know what? To the point of Mike DeSantis of Joe Burrow not having anything, remember, the Cincinnati Bengals didn't have Joe Mixon in the game yet. He was out again this week. So the running game was
backup. I'm wondering, other than T. Higgins, is AJ Green like on the back of a carton or something? Is he hurt again? What?
He had 5 targets and no catches yesterday.
So, I mean, that's the question I have for the Bengals. No offense, Mike. I respect Giovanni Bernard coming in for Mixon. T. Higgins is doing things I didn't think possible, but to his point, I think T. Higgins is his biggest weapon right now.
Well, I mean, the good thing it gives them something to go for in the offseason to grow with. But I think that in the draft, Cincinnati, where they should be picking, hey, go get Joe Burrow's good buddy at LSU, Jamar Chase.
Interesting.
Listen, if you're going to do it right, especially doing things right. Listen, a couple weeks ago, Dolphins fans or people around the NFL were questioning Brian Flores for changing quarterbacks in the middle of a stretch where they're fighting for the playoffs. But if it wasn't for that damn Tua Tagovailoa, Kyle, 2-0 starter. Listen, he outplayed Justin Herbert yesterday, 15-25, 169, 2 touchdowns. And Kyle, the star of the game, to me, wasn't just Tua Tagovailoa. It was running back Salvon Ahmed from the Dolphins.
Did have a great showing in support. Tua did a great job as well, and the defense made their presence felt as they continued to do. I don't mean to knock your point. You might be right, but I think it was excellent team football for the Miami Dolphins.
Listen, the score was 29-21, but oh, God.
Hey,
AJ Green, though.
40. I could still beat him. Moving on.
Listen, AJ Green's playing like Al Green right now. All right. So, listen, the score is 29-21, but San Diego got a late touchdown with 2 minutes left in the game to make the game closer than what it was. The Dolphins pretty much dominated this game. And Kyle, neither team had 300 yards in total offense.
I see with the Dolphins, I don't really think that's their style.
But you give the Dolphins defense credit on Justin Herbert, though.
There you go. You beat me to it. Damn straight. You got it.
Listen, Tua Magic, it could be real. The Dolphins are 6-3, and they're contending for the NFC East. They're only a game behind the Buffalo Bills at this point.
Listen, I'm going to say it. The Dolphins are one it looks like I'm getting wrong. I thought I was being optimistic giving them 7 wins. I thought I was going to come out high. And, oh, boy, they're 1 win away from matching what I would have picked. My own hell.
And Kyle, look at the next 3 games for the Dolphins: at Denver, at the Jets, home for the Bengals.
I mean, there's a good chance they go 3-0.
Kyle, they go 3-0 and be at 9-3 with the game on December 13th against the Kansas City Chiefs at home.
Oof, wow.
Now, Kyle, they're stretched. Kyle, listen. To be honest with you, the Dolphins can finish this thing at 11-5.
Yeah, very realistically.
And Flores wins Coach of the Year.
We'll see. The Raiders, your Raiders don't do so hot against the Dolphins lately, Chief. You might have. I mean, the team before the tanker when Flores arrived beat them. Perhaps you remember that, my good friend.
Listen, don't sleep on him as an adult. Brian Flores gets his team to the playoffs after switching quarterbacks. He's the NFL Coach of the Year. No offense to Mike Tomlin. But, I mean, when you have the gall to put a rookie quarterback in the middle of a playoff fight, when Ryan Fitzpatrick wasn't playing terrible, you should get credit for that.
I'm just saying a franchise whose most recent loss to a franchise was when they had Adam Gase at head coach shouldn't be running their mouths on Facebook comments. I'm just saying. Listen,
speaking of quarterbacks saving their job, Cam Newton last night against the Baltimore Ravens saved himself last night, because if Cam Newton lost one more game in New England, they would have thrown the pitchforks at him. Newton finally got himself together, and Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens are looking like, hey, Lamar might have been right about going to get a playmaker at wide receiver. The Ravens can't do anything on offense. All right. Mark Andrews is good, but he's not on the outside perimeter. Mark Ingram's injury doesn't help the situation. And Lamar Jackson, Kyle, has he regressed?
No, let's not get stupid here. Okay. Lamar Jackson playing in an awful game himself. Maybe there wasn't 50-mile-an-hour winds, but the rain was absolutely a factor in the contest. Listen, I don't get how people sell so fast on, Lamar Jackson can't throw. Guy, it's not so much that he can't throw the football. Sure, his touch is perfect yet. I think that can still develop. I'm not looking for that necessarily to be the problem. Where are the weapons? Like, seriously. There's a reason Mark Andrews is the number 1 guy out of the tight end spot.
Well, no, I don't think Lamar Jackson's a Michael Vick, because here's the thing. Lamar Jackson's a little bit more accurate than Michael Vick.
Yeah, I would say a lot more.
But here's the thing. At least in Atlanta gave Michael Vick people to throw to. He had Roddy White. He had I can't remember his name off the top of my head. Michael Jenkins. Yeah, he had Algie Crumpler. They had weapons, and they're missing Ronnie Stanley the worst way. Lord knows they're missing Stanley offensive line the worst way. But the issue is what we mentioned with Kyler Murray earlier. They put people around Kyler Murray to make him successful. They are letting Lamar Jackson down because they're not going to get they're not getting playmakers. No offense to Hollywood Brown, but this ain't Hollywood. This is not college football. They need a possession receiver to go get it. They need a DeAndre Hopkins, Devontae Adams. They need one of those types of a Mike Evans type receiver. You got to give a young kid somebody that can make plays. Hell, even Keenan Allen. Why is Justin Herbert good? He has Keenan Allen on the outside. Right. Keenan Allen is a guy, he's a Pro Bowler. Lamar Jackson's a Pro Bowler on the outside. There's nothing wrong with saying he needs help. He needs help at the receiving corps. Now, last game of the weekend, Kyle, I've been saying this. I said it last week. Russell Carrington turnover.
You want to get this whooping? All right, let's do this.
Kyle, 3 out of the last 4 games, he's had 4 turnovers in 3 of the last 4 games. He's got 10 interceptions this season, Kyle. His career high is 11.
He's got 10 interceptions this year. 5 of them in the past 2 weeks, with probably the most depleted backfield in the NFL. There's a reason why Russell Wilson doubles as the leading in passing yards and rushing yards week in, week out. And oh, by the way, please stop dissing the Rams defense. The insensitivity you have for the fact that Darren Donald has sacked Russell Wilson 12 times in his career, didn't get him in this game. You know why? Everybody else he was making holes for were. And then you want to defend the signing and overpayment of of their newly acquired former Jacksonville Jaguar corner in Jalen Ramsey, and then when he does his damn job, you're going to talk trash on Russell Wilson. You can't have it both ways, Danny Thompson.
Listen, I never said anything about Jalen Ramsey. You know, I'm a big.
You defended him, and yet when you get the job, you're going to instead of giving him props of doing his job, you're going to diss Russell Carrington Wilson. So,
no, I'm calling him Russell
Wilson. Do not put disrespect on that name, especially with the way Matt Ryan's been playing this year. You know who's more bound to be a first ballot Hall of Famer? Russell Wilson. Then Matthew Ice turnover. How you like that?
No. Matt Ryan doesn't lead the NFL in turnovers on third downs. That's Russell Wilson. He's got 8 of them. Okay.
He's 9 number is what you're going to die on? Come on,
Kyle.
bro. You're better than that.
He's costed him the last 3 games with turnovers. It's not just interceptions.
And you name one win they could have had without Russell Carrington Wilson, sir.
Kyle, it doesn't matter what games they could have won. He's costed them 3 of them.
What do you mean it doesn't matter how many games they won? The conversation is MVP. And listen, I'll give you this. The interception in the end zone that he threw was definitely the turning point of that game. I'm not here to tell you he didn't make a mistake. But by the way, again, that Rams defense, pretty good. They do that to a lot of guys. You know, what do you want me to say?
Kyle, Wilson has 13 turnovers this season, Kyle. 10 of them coming. No, listen, Kyle, when you turn the ball over, Kyle, as a starting quarterback, it doesn't help your team win. Kyle, since the bye week, Wilson has 10 turnovers, and the team only has 9 touchdowns since the bye week.
If this receiver core you were beating me over the head with last week and failing to do so successfully, I might add, why can't they do anything to help him out? You know what I find interesting? These receivers who are supposed to be so good, the reason why there's picks being thrown by Russell Wilson is he has to force it to Greg Olsen, the tight end, because the others aren't getting open like they're supposed to. What happened to this time in the top 100 overrated stuff? They looked good because Russell Wilson looked good. They got covered. Russell Wilson's in trouble. They're cute.
Kyle, unless Kirk Cousins go Kirk Cousins, Russell Wilson's second in the NFL interceptions after tonight.
Okay, you're a guy
that can't be the MVP, Kyle. That can't be the MVP of the league.
First of all, ask Brett Favre. Second, those interceptions came, half of them, in the past 2 weeks. That is a statistical anomaly. And Russell Wilson being Russell Wilson, you can't rule out it's possible. I don't think it happened because he doesn't have me, but you can't rule out it's possible. He finishes the season without throwing another pick.
Kyle, here's the thing. You can't be the MVP of the league with 13 turnovers when Patrick LeVon Mahomes II only has 1 turnover all season.
God dang numbers. That's a bad take by you.
What do you mean?
Patrick Mahomes can miss a game, and the Kansas City Chiefs could still win the football game.
Really, Kyle?
Absolutely.
Kyle, you think Matt Moore is going to win a game, Kyle?
He's done it. This is a thing that has happened, Danny Thompson.
Kyle, no. Russell Wilson's sliding down the MVP scale. He's sliding, Kyle. He's sliding. He's sliding like a slip and slide right now.
Stop it.
You're going to give the league's MVP to somebody who's second in the NFL interceptions, who leads the NFL in turnovers as a quarterback. You're giving him the MVP award?
What
do you mean? When you turn the ball over.
Oh, why did you do that, Bobby? No.
I guess the time was going back and forth on Russell Carrington turnover. All I'm saying is,
you stop with the bad takes. You are better than this. Even Falcons fans are smarter than this.
Is he not turning the ball over, Kyle? Is he not turning the ball over?
Listen, pay attention.
Answer my question. Has he turned the ball over lately?
2 weeks. Half of his turnovers happened. That's called a statistical anomaly. You want to beat me over the head and tell me that you're supposed to focus on numbers? Fine. I just did, and you got dunked on with it, son. No, you're
Kyle. Kyle, here's the thing. What I'm saying is you look at the MVP award right now. You're going to take a guy, and you're saying a guy that's got – Kyle, you lead the NFL in turnovers, Kyle, and you're talking about is better than a guy that's only got 1 turnover all season?
Absolutely. The reason the turnovers are happening is because of the embarrassment of riches.
So what is fumbling?
Kansas City Chiefs offense.
Then what's the fumbles, Kyle? What's the loss of the fumbles? What does that mean?
have a garbage offensive line that lets people in. You're smarter than that. Jeez, man. Now, if you want to get on him about interceptions, you have something there. But he's also because he's under intense pressure. What's the fumble? Really?
So when we say Kirk Cousins is bad when he throws interceptions, we throw Kirk Cousins under the bus. I'm just saying Kirk Cousins as an example. I'm using him as an example.
Line, do not even try that game.
Kyle, all I'm saying is turnovers are turnovers. We get on quarterbacks all the time for turnovers. Am I wrong? Your job as a quarterback, Kyle, is not to turn the ball over.
Listen, man, I give you credit for being somebody at this age that can do gymnastics so good. I get that turnovers are your point. You want to focus on a number for an MVP decision? Fine. You do you. But in the case of Russell Carrington Wilson, to claim that he is not the MVP of this league right now is just incredibly short-sighted. Actually, I could argue that his turnovers, I'm not going to because it's ridiculous, but I can make an argument that the turnovers are proof that he's the MVP of the team.
Kyle, turn the ball over 8 times on third down makes you the league's MVP?
Absolutely, because it shows when he actually had some protection and still only two receivers that are speed demons at most, in my opinion. That he was able to, at this point, you're even on the air talking about how he was the best long ball thrower in the league. Now, teams don't take that long ball. And then
listen, Kyle, listen. I'm not taking away the fact of Russell Wilson being a great quarterback. I'm not saying that. I'm not discounting that. But as far as being the league's MVP at this point in the season, he's just not.
You have a better answer than Patrick Mahomes. Because Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the league. I'm not saying that, but he's not.
And Kyle, sorry.
And you're going to see Kyler Murray with 2 Hall of Fame caliber receivers on that squad. Stop it.
I have Kyler Murray ahead of him right now.
You're high. How can you do that with all the weapons that Arizona has? We have gone over this.
Kyler Murray's got 10 rushing touchdowns on top of what he's done in the air. Arizona's got the same record and actually winning the division right now.
Does he have room to run if the defense isn't sitting back trying to fight a way to stop D-Hop, Larry Fitzgerald, Kirk? I forget their tight end. Not like they need him. Drake breaking into the flat out of
Kyle, you forget that TK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett are in the top 10 in every single receiving category in the NFL. What are you talking about weapons?
Ball. And when they don't have the long ball, they're used.
No, Tyler Lockett is in the top 10 in catches, Kyle.
What does that have to do with you? You'd rather take D-Hop. You'd rather take D-Hop. Or excuse me, Tyler Lockett over D-Hop. Really?
Kyle, I didn't listen to that. I didn't. Did I say that? You're saying that. You're saying. No. You said that he has no weapons. I said he does. He has 2 receivers in the top 10 in every single statistical category for wide receivers. They're both in the.
Had a lot of numbers too. Were they good? Only except for Clayton and Duper. It's because they don't have anything else they can do.
All right. So, Kyle, once again, you got sacked. You got sacked like Jimmy Garoppolo. All right. So,
wait, what?
You got sacked like Jimmy Garoppolo. Out the game, sir. Out you go.
I'm more talented than you and more professional. You deserve to be cursed at, but I didn't. That face says everything. No, for real. You totally hit the Omar Epps meme in that face. I wish you could have seen it was
speaking of faces, Kyle. Damn it, Kyle. We're about to go over, Kyle. So you know what? Speaking of faces, let's get to our favorite segment of the show. And I know we're running out of time, but guess what? We didn't start on time anyway. All right. It's time for Mount Rushmore. And yes, it's our favorite part of the show. Kyle and I will go over a topic, and we won't go back and forth like we always do, because if Russell Wilson has another set of interceptions, I promise you, I'm digging your ass next week. All right.
I doubt you'll say anything that dumb in this next segment, but okay.
No, Bobby, that's not the Mount Rushmore topic, by the way. So Mount Rushmore, for those who don't know, Kyle and I go through a topic, and we pick our Mount Rushmore. So we pick the top 4 we think is of a particular topic. And the best part is Kyle doesn't know about the topic until we start the show, until we do this segment.
Correct.
So, Kyle, we've talked about a lot of things in the show, Kyle, but guess what? Tonight's going to be a little bit different, and I kind of drop hints throughout the show tonight.
I probably missed it. My bad.
Exactly. So my comments kind of led to the Mount Rushmore topic tonight, Kyle. So you know what? We've talked about lots of things, Kyle, but tonight, we're going to take things a little different. Tonight, Kyle, I want your Mount Rushmore of iconic food mascots.
Oh, okay. Get a little creative. Iconic food mascots. Now, are we including restaurants?
As long as the place has food and it has a mascot. So if you want to choose Ronald McDonald, he is available, sir.
Okay. Well, first of all, let's get to it. All right. We don't have a lot of time, so there may be ones that I miss, but keep in
That's
mind.
okay. You know what? Damn it, Kyle. If we go over 2 hours, damn it, go over 2 hours. We know the guy running the stations running the boards. Continue, Kyle.
This is an easy topic for me. I feel like I can get it done pretty quick. But listen, something I always adored in my youth is when my girlfriends in high school would tell me that they would hug me and they would be comfortable like I was the Pillsbury Doughboy. So I got to give him a little bit of love right here in the topic because you know what? I do a damn fine. Anyways, so I made Danny Thompson laugh on that one. Next up, of course, you got to throw shouts to America's favorite clown, the only clown I know that doesn't consistently scare every single person that's afraid of clowns, Ronald McDonald, hands down. Sure, I don't go to McDonald's except for maybe breakfast, but at the end of the day, he at one point he was more recognizable in the United States than Santa Claus, for F's sake. That's a thing that happened. Check it out. Granted, it might have been the 80s, but that's not the point. Anyways, next up, my Mount Rushmore may not be the most famous, but it's the one I had one of the most fun times with. And for those that watch Super Bowl commercials, you saw beer commercials, and I'm putting in my trio, the Budweiser Frogs. I'm just throwing it out there. Bud.
Wise.
Dude, that's a good time, and you know I'm right.
I mean, or Kyle, you can go turn over. But continue.
I'm not telling you how bad your take is because that was actually pretty funny. I got to give you credit. Anyway, that was funny enough. Yeah, that was funny enough. You threw me off a little bit. Oh yeah. Last, finally, because Danny Thompson refuses to say the word "GIF" in a technical conversation because I won't let him. I'm going to go throw shouts to Peter Pan Peanut Butter. Thank you, Danny Thompson. You have the floor.
Bobby, you got your Mount Rushmore of food mascots?
I'm working on it. All right. So far, I have the Chick-fil-A cows eat more chicken.
That's a good call.
Okay.
I have the Hamburglar, who is the best character out of the whole McDonald's group.
Okay.
I have back in the 80s. Speaking of the 80s, how about Spuds McKenzie?
Okay.
But I'll let you have it. Yeah.
And my last one I'm still kind of working on. I'll get back to the last one.
All right.
All right. So you know what? I'm going to live a different direction. So I'm going to lead the top of the list. You can't go wrong without having the Kool-Aid Man on the list.
Oh
yeah. You got to have him on there. If you didn't drink Kool-Aid, you drank Flavor Aid. Hold on. We'll get him in a second. All right. So that's one. Bobby with the Chick-fil-A cow's a beast. All right, but you gotta go with the Kool-Aid. You gotta go with the Kool-Aid. The Kool-Aid guy. All right. Next, where's Tony? No, where's the love for Tony the Tiger? It's great.
I get him on mind, no doubt.
Listen, I'm gonna go a little off the grid with this one because this is something that it jumped in my list. The Wendy's mascot, Wendy, is in this list. And I'll tell you why. Yeah. Wendy's dropped a mixtape dissing all the fast food restaurants last year. It was an album called We Beefin' from Wendy's. It was a chick on there rapping.
I heard about it. I didn't sample it. Apparently I need to.
It's phenomenal. The album is called We Beefin', and it's like maybe like a 5 or 6 diss track. I don't know, some SoundCloud rapper, but the Wendy's mascot makes the list because of the soundtrack for We Beefin'. Okay? And last but not least, listen, Kyle, you mentioned something nice and cuddly, and you mentioned the fact of the Pillsbury Doughboy. But, Kyle, it's Christmas, Kyle. And you know who's got to be on the list? The Coca-Cola Polar Bears.
Yo, that's a strong take, Danny Thompson. I think you won this week on that one. Polar Bears did it. Bobby, what do you got, bud?
I got my fourth one. You gotta love the Cheetos Cheetah.
I thought about that one.
The Cheetah is respectable, 100%.
Yes. Bobby, who do we have? What do we have in the chat today, Bobby?
Kind of strong on that, boys. Chuck E. Cheese.
Okay. Colonel Sanders.
Hurt the
The
Hooters.
Hooter.
They never listened to damn Owl. Stop lying.
Who knew it was a damn owl?
I'll give him Colonel Sanders, but the problem is they have the worst fast food chicken on the market. So,
Hey, listen, we talking mascots though.
yeah, I know. Okay, listen, the Colonel's all right. I'll let him have the Colonel.
Bobby, anybody else in the chat tonight?
Damn Owl, this guy.
Nah, not for this.
All right. Listen, Kyle, but on my honorable mention, here's the thing.
No
You already
shit.
know. None. But Kyle, you know who's some sleepers, Kyle? Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Sure.
Captain Crunch.
Captain Crunch.
Count Chocula. Bobby, let's go old school. Grimace. We didn't mention Ronald McDonald, but Grimace.
I thought Grimace was like the third wheel in that. Yeah, you just I don't know.
And Kyle, my other one I left off the list was Gidget.
Gidget.
You know what Gidget was?
Remind me.
The Taco Bell Chihuahua.
I didn't realize his name was Gidget.
Gidget.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Yo quiero Taco Bell.
Sure. I mean the Burger King, but he's a little creepy.
Oh, listen, the Burger King was just trill. He was just really real. Hey, you know what, Kyle? What about the Cocoa Puffs mascot?
The monkey?
No, was he a monkey?
They came out with it later. I don't think he started as one.
I don't know what the hell he was. But you know what, Kyle? Oh, you know what? We forgot one. Toucan Sam.
Toucan Sam. The Tricks Rabbit.
Silly rabbit. Silly rabbit. Interceptions are for winners. All right, continue.
Anyway. Actually, I have one more.
Yes, Bobby.
Think of the opposite. You have the fast food joint Popeyes, but think of the cartoon Popeye. Popeye loved spinach, and Wimpy loved hamburgers. Olive oil.
Okay. I mean, Bobby, you know what? I'm surprised you didn't choose the Lucky Charms mascot. Notre Dame.
Oh.
I mean, Clemson's always after your Lucky Charms.
You know what? We do this every single week. The streak is going just for that.
I want the record to show I blame you, Danny Thompson.
What the hell did I do? I didn't set him up for that. I'm just saying.
If you didn't bring up Lucky Charms, it never would have happened.
Kyle, any shouts where you go?
Hey, my shout outs to Danny Thompson. When we could drag out into a damn shouting match and then laughing our asses off literally 2 minutes later. That's what you get in a quality show. And hey, listen, Danny Thompson's a quality host for going out of his way to have such a bad, controversial take just so we can have so much good entertainment for you, the listener. Danny Thompson.
Bobby, any shout outs?
I'm almost ready. Soon. I'm getting there.
He doesn't mean it this time, but he will be ready soon. That's right.
Listen, expect the Bobby Blackjack show.
This week's a lot going on. We have the midway point, or almost the midway point past the NFL. And then we have the NFL NBA draft this week. So I'll be back on this week at some point, for sure.
Listen, check out the Bobby Blackjack show sometime, I'm going to say, after Thanksgiving.
Yes.
We'll have a commercial, by the way.
Oh, we do?
That can play us out.
I finally added the music.
Well, you know what?
At the end.
That'll close out the show, but let me give my last shout-outs before we go. Big shout-outs to everybody in the chat tonight. Mike DeSantis, glad to have you back, buddy. I'm glad to see you. You're pulling through after your spine surgery. Of course, to Rodney Richardson, as always, for stopping through. My main man, Manny Robinson. Precious in the chat, as well as Tim Radley. Kyle, I think I'm missing people. I forgot who put that Nick Foles for MVP candidate chat. I don't know. Big shout outs to everybody who liked, shared, and tagged the show. We appreciate it. Kyle and I really enjoy doing this on Monday nights. And don't worry, we'll go back to our Thursday nights after the holidays because people want to hear us more than just once a week. So for myself, Kyle, Bobby, and the Coca-Cola Polar Bears, I'm Danny Thompson. We'll check with you guys on Monday. And yes, check out Kyle and I's work on the 3pointconversion.com. Kyle is writing everything for you for UCF. Making sure They're getting ready for the big preview. And for those who look at the big 3-point conversion on draft day, there's a potential chance that the site is going through a maintenance upgrade on the site. So we're trying to do things better so you guys can enjoy the site a little bit better. So if you're looking for NBA draft coverage on Wednesday, the site might be down for a little bit of time. Follow me on Twitter. We'll have some stuff with the Charlotte Hornets, and Raphael will have stuff with the Atlanta Hawks. They both have top 6 picks in the draft. And going to be an interesting draft. And also follow me on Twitter at Danny3 Thompson on Twitter. So like I said, for myself, for the student of the game, Bobby Blackjack in New Jersey, and the Coca-Cola Polar Bear, we'll see you guys on Monday for Beyond the Buzzer. Peace.
Love the Polar Bear.